Happy Sunday, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. We are back. Mom, shalom, shalom. Avia, greetings. Don, what's good, sis? Tabitha, light and love, sister. And yes. All right, beautiful people. Today it is May the 28th, 2023, day 42 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. And of the 5-year consecutive day count, it is day 1421. Today we pick it back up in the book of Osiris, son of Jehovah. And we're going to read chapters 10 and 11 on pages 142 to page 144. And then we're going to pick up in the secret Nazarite scroll, also known as the Holy Megillah. And we're going to start on page 249. We're going to continue in the Odes of Shlomo or Solomon. And depending on what time we at, we may actually finish this because it's a total of 14 and it's not that long. So I'm thinking we're just gonna finish this all the way out today. And if I don't know, if we still work with a little bit of time because it's Sunday, we might just read a little bit of the book of Noah because that is directly afterwards. So let's see. So maybe I'm gonna just get right to it. See if we can at least get into the first chapter of the book of Noah. So let's get started. Father, we thank you that all things come alive at the sound of your voice. All right. Rita, good morning, sis. Elijah, peace and blessings. Beloved family, may the creator Eoa be with you all. And everybody else here hanging out in the background already. Let's get it started. All right, y'all. Audrey, shalom, sis. Hey, girl, hey. All right, y'all. Page 142 in the WASPI, chapter 10, book of Osiris. Book of Osiris. When Osiris had completed his instructions to his host, he sent messengers to Vabraj, saluting in the name of Jehovah, calling for 1 million more Etherians, who came presently, whereupon Osiris divided them into 10,000 groups, giving each group one or more of his attendants, whom he had instructed what to do. When all of them were in readiness for the work, Osiris said, "Experience hath proven that to dispossess familiar spirits in one place is but to drive them to another. It is wise, therefore, that in the same day ye make the attack in one city or temple, ye shall do so in the principal places all over the earth, giving the familiars no place to fasten upon. Let it be a sign, therefore, of attack in each and every place at the beginning of sunrise on the morrow, and ye shall possess all the temples and places of oracles, and the cities, and the kings and queens, and rulers and leaders of men, driving hence by stratagem or by force all the false lords and all spirits professing the name of Apollo, or any representative spirit in the name of Apollo or Thor." This just brought to light something. Okay, so I guess that's why this works. You know how people call or even the United States does it. They call or they hold like national days of prayer. Or you get a group of people and everybody getting in sync at the same time. And a lot of time when you do that, with 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst. You can use that too. It's the same principle behind it. But if you get a lot of people on the same page at the same time and you begin to operate in spiritual principles, you get movement a whole lot faster. I'm gonna read this again. Verse 2. Auntie Belinda Brown Grant, rising. Love and light to all faithers as we keep rising up. Yes and amen. Facebook user. Coming from the private group. Okay, verse 2. Let me read this again. Experience hath proven that to dispossess familiar spirits in one place is but to drive them to another. It is wise, therefore, that in the same day ye make the attack in one city or temple, ye shall do it in the principal places all over the earth, giving the familiars no place to fasten upon. Let it be a sign, therefore, of attack in each and every place at the beginning of sunrise on the morrow, and ye shall possess all the temples and places of the oracles, and the cities, and the kings and queens, and rulers and leaders of men, driving hence by stratagem or by force all the false lords and all spirits professing the name of Apollo, or any representative spirit in the name of Apollo or Thor. And immediately will mortals recognize that some change is going on in the unseen world, and they will go to the places of spirit communion, asking for Apollo, and explain. And ye shall answer, asking for Apollo to explain. And ye shall answer, Apollo is cast out. Hear ye the wisdom of the great spirit Jehovah. And thereafter ye shall instruct them as I have commanded. So it came to pass, Osir, so it came to pass as Osir had decreed, the Etherians drove out the false lords of the earth, and they banished the familiars of all the kings and queens and leaders of men. All right, I just had to write down a note. Okay. And the Etherians taught in the temples and oracles, and by entrancement and by inspiration, even as commanded by Jehovah through his son Osir. But in all places, the great spirit's name was made a secret, and it was commanded of mortals that his name should only be spoken in whisper or low breath, because Jehovah speaketh to the soul of man silently. And these things were established, and this was the first universal teaching of the great spirit to mortals, save to the sacred people, the Ehems. And Osiah decreed, one Lord shall ye give to every city and oracle, but every Lord shall profess Jehovah, being his son. But every Lord, but every Lord shall profess Jehovah, being his son. And this was also accomplished. And when the people consulted the oracles as to who the Spirit was, the answer was Jehovah through his son, Lord of the earth, or God of the earth. But it was made lawful to use the names Lord and God with audible words, and they were thus used and spoken by mortals as the substitutive words, permissible in public in place of the name Jehovah. After this, the names Lord and God were worshipful. Verse 9, we're on page 142. Osiris said, it is an easy matter to rule over the kings and queens and prophets and all learned people, but not so easy to rule over the ignorant, who, having been accustomed to worship Apollo through the idols, will long continue to do so. Therefore, ye shall cause the kings to issue edicts prohibiting familiar spirits and forbidding soothsayers and workers of magic. But teach ye mortals that these things come of Satan, the evil disposition of men. That's true. That it is so much easier to work with those who are like already in line with what's going on, right? He said, but it's the hard-headed ones that you're going to have issues with. And I find that that is true in all places. You have to deal with them in a certain type of way, especially whether it's your spouse, if it's your children, if it's a business partner, an associate, your whole strategy with them, you shouldn't be enemies. Well, at least as those who walk in the light of Creator, you shouldn't be enemies with anyone. You should be a higher light for all of those who are walking in lesser light. And all of those ones who are a little bit hard-headed, they're walking in a lesser light, right? So you have to learn how to use strategy with them, so they can work in tandem with you. So it's interesting. I'm going to read this again. Verse 9. Osiris said, it is an easy matter to rule over the kings and queens and prophets and all learned people, but not so easy to rule over the ignorant, who, having been accustomed to worship Apollo through the idols, will long continue to do so. Therefore, ye shall cause the kings to issue edicts prohibiting familiar spirits and forbidding soothsayers and workers of magic, but teach ye mortals that these things come of Satan, the evil disposition of men. This also, I like how when it puts Satan, it doesn't just say like Satan, like referring to this red horned dude walking around with a long tail and pitchfork. Satan is the evil disposition of men, or a lower nature. This was also done according to the commandments, and now there was no place left for familiar spirits to obsess mortals. And these spirits distributed themselves after the manner of the spirits of the olden times, some going into swine and living with them, Whereupon Osiris commanded his hosts to inspire the kings and queens to pass laws prohibiting eating the swine's flesh, lest mortals become bound with fetals. Accordingly, this law was established on the earth. Some of the dispossessed spirits went into the forest to dwell, and some to the fountains and midst in waterfalls. Others who were depraved dwelt in the fisheries and slaughterhouses, and still others in the kennels with dogs and cats. Nevertheless, there were many mortals who were dealers in magic and witchery, and these had an abundance of familiar spirits. And when such mortals would die, the familiars would go to their sons or daughters, whereupon it was said of them that they inherited the gift of magic. Osiris, having overcome the evil spirits, now called a council at Weankakwo. Hold on, I said that wrong. Weankakwo. And there came 500,000 and there came 500,000 angels. Osiris said, in Jehovah's name will I now deliver them I have cast out, and ye shall labor to this end in conjunction with the gods of atmosphere. Behold, I have had the familiars enumerated, and there are more than 6,000 million of them on earth. Ye shall go forth, therefore, into all the divisions of the earth, where they inhabit, and proclaim a great festival, to be holding in Weankakwo, inviting them hither. And ye shall provide them with conveyance, bringing them across the seas in suitable vessels. For when I have them, for when I have them here congregated, I will destroy the ships, and they cannot return. This was accomplished, and more than 5,000 million spirits came to the festival, where were provided for them food and also clothes of fantastic colors to please the eye of the ignorant. And after they were provided in decency, they were entertained in music and dancing, they themselves being taught to take part. For 70 days the festival lasted, and every day varied from one another. And the multitude became so intoxicated with delight, and withal so broken off from their old habits and associations, that they forgot all about the ships and conveyances. Osiris spake to his council privily, saying, provide ye an areata large enough for all these people. I will show you what shall happen. So whilst the festival was going on, the proper workmen built the vessel, and its capacity was sufficient to carry all the multitude of spirits, besides a sufficiency of regimen for them on a long journey. Now, after the festival had lasted 70 days, Osiris proclaimed order that he might speak unto them. He said, brothers and sisters, in the name of the Great Spirit, greeting to you all. I am about to depart to a higher world, that ye might hear my voice. I proclaim order. That ye may rejoice in my words, I speak in love and tenderness. My home is in a world far away, where there is no suffering, no sorrow, and the spirit of my people is radiant with light. I would tell you of the beauty and glory of my home, but it would not be just to you. You would no longer be content to remain here, so I seal up my mouth. Because ye suffered and my soul was full of pity, I made this festival. The Great Spirit taught me how to make food and clothes, and to travel far and be not afraid. All the people where I live can hear the voice of the Great Spirit. They learn all things by first learning to hear him. His wisdom supplieth every want. That's good. Let me go back. Verse 16. Brothers and sisters, in the name of the Great Spirit, greeting to you all. I'm about to depart to a higher world. That ye may hear my voice, I proclaim order. That ye may rejoice in my words, I speak in love and tenderness. My home is in a world far away, where there is no suffering, no sorrow. And the spirit of my people is radiant with light. I would tell you of the beauty and glory of my home, but it would not be just to you. You would no longer be content to remain here, so I seal up my mouth. Because ye suffered and my soul was full of pity, I made this festival. The Great Spirit taught me how to make food and clothes, and to travel far and be not afraid. All the people where I live can hear the voice of the Great Spirit. They learn all things by first learning to hear him. His wisdom supplieth every want. It will be a long time before I come again. My heart of love will come back to you. The time of the festival is ended. Your time has come to return to your old places. These lords of yours, which you have had so long, may provide you all, may provide you. I got two parallel lines beside it. I don't know what that means. I don't even know if I paid attention to the first time. I think it just means the end of his conversation, but I didn't see two parallel lines when it started. Okay, verse 18. It will be a long time before I come again. My heart of love will come back to you. The time of the festival is ended. Your time has come to return to your old places. These lords of yours, which you have had so long, may provide you. Almost at once, when Osiris began to speak, the people desired to go whither he would decree. And when he suggested for them to return to their former lords, who were also present, they answered with a universal shout, Nay, never more with them. Look, once people get a taste of the higher light, is why are you trying to send us back there? Like, take us where you going, right? Same thing with the false gods and false lords. When the higher light comes to help them realign their lives, they don't come down here smacking people upside the head with judgment. The judgment is that you clean up your messes, right? They lavish love upon you, right? And even when they're full and bright of light, like what's the guy's name early on in the book, like that like all of them, when they come, the higher light brethren and sister and come, they're like full of light, and a lot of times they got to turn the light down because it actually begins to hurt the false lords and the false gods. They find themselves prostrate on the ground, covering themselves, balling up, because it hurts them, because they're full of darkness and they're trying to cling on to the darkness, right? But as time passes and they lavish more love and sweet words upon them, they begin to soften up. Some a little faster than others. Some are just downright, downright. What's the word I want to use? Pissed off until the very end, like you coming to take over their stuff, but they don't realize this is their time of healing, right? So when they finally come to their senses, they're like, okay, man, bro, I'm sorry for all that I did. Take me with you so I can keep growing. They said, nay, I'm giving your kingdom back to you. I want it now. Why? Listen, you saw what I did, right? Why are you gonna leave me here? Take me with you so I can keep growing. That's just the point, my G. You got to go clean up your messes. See, before we just take y'all, but now the human race has developed to a point where you now know right from wrong, and you now are going to begin to take part in your own resurrection. So go help your brethren and sister that you've led astray, right? And when you make things right with them and you help them see a higher light and bring them up to the level where you currently are, bring them up to the level, and everything after that we'll handle. But once you go clean that up, we'll be back. We'll come get you, and we're gonna raise all y'all up to the next level together on the same level, right? There's no one higher than another, So that's really interesting, and it's amazing because if you look at a lot of people, especially hardcore, and I just use Bible thumpers because that's where I came from. Hardcore Bible thumpers, especially the ones that carry those titles: apostle, prophet, evangelist, preacher, teacher, even some of the online ministry gifts, whatever title they decide to call themselves, right? They're always talking to people in the light of judgment, like the creator is going to come destroy everything because you done mess with them. And now when I come across people like that, I just kind of snicker to myself. Not like laughing at them, but it's amazing how it's amazing to me. It's beyond me really at this point how somebody can teach about a creator or a God who loves his people so much, but yet despises other people. But isn't at least from what you're trying to explain, even though we know you may still be a little bit chopped and screwed up on terms and stuff, but when you're referring to God, you're in your mind, you're talking about the creator of all. At least that's how you're perceiving it, right? So how does the creator of all um uh If he's the creator of all, how does he separate his children and he hates one and loves the other? It's because the propaganda and all the lies that have been mixed in with truth, and people actually believe that. They believe that our great creator would do something like that. Now, most parents in their right mind don't do that with their children. And if we were made in the likeness of our creator, how much more do you think he would like not do that as well? I may have some children that are hard-headed, a little bit more strong-willed than the others, but I don't love them any less, and I ain't ready to take them out just because they to piss me off, or even because they constantly stirring up trouble between their brethren and their sistering. Like, y'all stop it. Learn how to work together. That's what we're doing as a parent. We ain't like, you know what? I'm gonna kill you, Cain, because you done slaughter Abel. Your heart may be broken if a child slaughters another child, and you may even, because as humans we're imperfect, like we don't have that complete agape that the creator has, but we work daily to develop that. And it may be hard for us to even look at that child in the same way, but we don't love them any less. Some people are just, I'm gonna cut you off, don't ever speak to me again, I'm gonna deal with you like you a ninja on the street. That is, I mean, I can see it, but I just that's a hard position to be in, right? So, which is why we're not the creator of all things. We just we can't even keep under control the couple children we didn't bore, and it's crazy, right? And the creator that would send you to hell to burn forever, like it never crosses their mind. Well, why would I love somebody like this? Like, what if I had a momentary lapse of sanity, would I then be banished to hell? Well, that's what they teach you. Yes, you will be too. Get on the wrong side of the God that you love. I'm just like, well, dang. So we got to constantly walk on eggshells. What if I got a question? What if I don't agree with something, right? Because I don't agree with slaughtering babies. I don't agree with slaughtering anybody, but still, sometimes you may justify why you need to take a woman out. But children, how do you justify that? I got a major problem with that, you know. But all these things you got to think about, and it's like they just put those questions back to sleep. When they wake up and they start considering things, it's like, no, it because he's God, he can do anything. Who are we to question God? Put it back to sleep. You going to hell? You want to try me? I'm just like, whew, sheesh. You walking a hard road, buddy. Look, okay. Let me go back. Verse 18. It will be a long time before I come again. My heart of love will come back to you. The time of the festival is ended. Your time is come to return to your old places. These lords of yours, which you have had so long, may provide you. Almost at once, when Osiris began to speak, the people desired to go whither he would decree. And when he suggested for them to return to their former lords, who were also present, like they was right there, like, no, we not coming back with you. You see what this ninja did? Why we gotta go back? Like, talking jump, they like, you see me standing right here, right? Osiris, hold on. Almost at once, when Osiris began to speak, the people desired to go whither he would decree. And when he suggested for them to return to their former lords, who were also present, they answered with a universal shout, nay, nevermore with them. Osiris said, I perceive ye desire to go with me and my host. I have learned to understand the souls of people. This is good. I have learned to understand the souls of people, but do ye understand me? I mentioned the great glories in my heavens, but I did not tell you we worked to make them. Yea, we work every day. That, boy, I like that. It's like the frog and the pond and the green lady, right? And the fly, where it told them, it said, go, I was just summing it up, go fix your own pond, right? Look. And a lot of times Christians just take me to the heavenly gates and let me in to this beautiful place. And look, it's something one of my old pastors used to say. It's like they looking for this perfect place and they waiting for Jesus to come get them, or Hamashiach or Hamashiach to come get them, take them to this perfect place. And every time I think about this, or I think about people waiting on a rapture or whatever to go to this place, getting out of Babylon, being rescued and stuff, I think about something one of my old pastors said. He said, there is no perfect place on earth. He said, and if it is, when you get there, it won't be perfect anymore. And the more I go through a WASP, the more I see the wisdom and the absolute truth in that statement. Listen to what Osiris said. Verse 20, page 143. Osiris said, I perceive ye desire to go with me and my host. I have learned to understand the souls of people, but do ye understand me? I mentioned the great glories in my heavens, but I did not tell you that we work to make them. Yea, we work every day. The great spirit made the tree to get its food and clothes without labor, but behold, it hath no power to travel. Some things in the world labor not, but man who hath neither feathers nor hair to cover his body is provided with talents. Talents are the greatest of all gifts. The air and the ground provide the substance of fruit and foliage to the tree, but the spirit who hath talent can find the substance of fruit and foliage in the air and gather it. That is amazing. Think about your marriage, right? People ready to hop from their marriage or hop from person to person. Bro, it is you that is the problem. Even though you may be married to a knucklehead, somebody that's lazy, somebody you feel that just don't care, is not giving as much effort, and you could be married to a male chauvinist. Shucks, you could be married to a female chauvinist, a feminist, or you could be married to a downright narcissist, right? Oh my goodness. But listen, some people may not agree with me on this. And some people's like, I ain't got time for it. I'm out, G. Ain't nobody dealing with that crap. But and you have a choice, and it's absolutely your choice, right? But who helps them, right? If we're looking at this from a higher light, who helps them? Now, some people are not equipped and prepared to handle a narcissist. It takes a special kind of person to actually stick in there and hang with a narcissist, because you literally will want to hang them and choke the living daylights out of them. Like, keep on choking until you make sure, and you gonna go an extra 24 hours to make sure they no longer have any breath coming through their body. Like, that's what a narcissist will make you feel like. But not too many people can really, like, you really got to go through a special kind of training. Like, I would venture to say you need to go through military training, strategy, how to watch and defeat your enemy. That's the type of training that you need to deal with. That's the type of training that you need to go through to deal with the narcissist. But that's only half the training, right? The other part is now that you've trained your physical senses, you need to train your spiritual senses with the light of Creator to temper that, right? And it's like how police officers and those in authority. Now, we have been trained, military, we have been trained to be killers. But then after all that training, or somebody in karate, they train you how to defend yourself against an attacker, right? But then they also teach you the de-escalation process to be able to temper any type of situation you may be up against, right? Sometimes it goes to the max, but you have to be able to recognize it, and you have to be able to understand and know when to address what and how. Like, because if not, the person involved with somebody that's way more strong-willed than they are, they're going to feel like they're being dragged through the mud, and it's going to always be crying, woe is me, like all of this different type of stuff. And I speak from experience on this. I kid you not. It really takes, you have to deal with them shrewdly, but you also have to deal with them just as much in love as you would deal with them in a shrewd manner. Because really, for real, the only way to get through to a person like that is the constant lavishing of love upon them, right? Because they didn't just wait. They were not born that way, right? You literally have to deconstruct their lives to see how they got that way, right? You have to look at it. You know how people go, or at least you probably watched on a movie, people that got to walk through landmines, right? You got to observe the field. Sometimes everything is completely covered and you just don't know, right? Sometimes you're going to go and you're going to step on one. Sometimes it's going to blow off a leg, going to blow off an arm. It might even kill you. And it's like, oh, I'm in the afterlife. Somebody else going to have to try it now. But if you just back up a little bit, you really have to enter nobody in their right mind will enter a relationship with a person that's just hard and mean, unless they also have ulterior motives where they're selfish, especially if this hard and mean person has something that this other person wants, right? So they just gonna go along with it just so they can, get what they want. And that's a mess as well. So, but I said all that to say it's a certain type of training and education that somebody has to have to deal with somebody like that. And especially in a marriage, you really have to use wisdom. I'm telling you, you really have to use wisdom. Otherwise, it's going to be hell on earth at all times. And it's like, I'm out. Let me find a door. As soon as I can break free, I'm gone, right? Verse 20. Again, Osiris said, I perceive ye desire to go with me and my host. I have learned to understand the souls of people, but do ye understand me? I mentioned the great glories in my heavens, but I did not tell you we worked to make them. Yea, we work every day. Like it got perfect, it got beautiful like this because we cleaned up the messes, we fixed it, and we work to keep it this way. If you're going to come be a part of us or a part of our team, you're going to have to learn how to work, have to walk through problems. You got to sit, analyze, how do we fix this? We don't just wait for goodness to be showered upon us, right? We take part in our own resurrection and our growth. Just me, shalom, shalom. Rita, you just finished watching A Good Place? It has a lot of good insight. I'm glad you got a chance to watch it all. Tabitha, oh yeah, she was responding to Rita. It's a great watch. Okay. Osiris said, I perceive ye desire to go with me and my host. I have learned to understand the souls of people, but do ye understand me? I mentioned the great glories in my heavens, but I did not tell you we work to make them. Yea, we work every day. The great spirit made the tree to get its food and clothes without labor, but behold, it hath no power to travel. Some things in the world labor not, but man who hath neither feathers nor hair to cover his body is provided with talents. Talents are the greatest of all gifts. The air and the ground provide the substance of fruit and foliage to the tree, but the spirit who hath talent can find the substance of fruit and foliage in the air and gather it. Verse 21. Lights of various colors were now being set up by the Etherians, and the place enriched with the most enticing perfumes. Osiris proceeded by the cultivation of talent. All things are possible unto all men and women. With a sufficiency of talent, ye need no lords or oppressive rulers. I mentioned the great beauties in my Etherian home. Ye go to the spray of fountains and disport yourselves in rainbows, but ye are in a small corner at best, and the substances of your joys are in perpetual failure. Behold, the sprays and bows made by my host. Hear the music played in the elements of their handiwork. The host here overcast the entire multitude with the vapor of the air, converted into millions of kaleidoscopic pictures, and fill the place with the music of wind currents trained to tunes. The hosts were overjoyed beyond measure. Again, Osiris said, hear me yet further. The festival must cease. Ye forget I told you I must go. My marshals would now conduct me and my host to my fire ship. As for ye, my heart is broken. I know the toil and the hardships put upon you, but if ye desire these things, they are yours. The universal shout was, we will go with thee. They said, we ain't trying to hear nothing you say, Osiris. I know, whatever, but we still want to go with you. The universal shout was, we will go with thee. Take us in your fire ship. Teach us how to improve our talents. Osiris said, what will the lords do? Shall they remain without subjects? But the false lords answered quickly, we will also go. He said, ain't none of us trying to stay slaves and masters alike. Take us all. We'll make ourselves your slaves, your servants. Look, Osiris said, hold on. Osiris said, what will the lords do? Shall they remain without subjects? But the false lords answered quickly, we will also go with thee and be servants to do thy bidding. Osiris said, when I'm on the ship, I will answer. So let me get out of here. I'm gonna answer y'all from the ship. When I get my next answer, start firing off so we can get away. Osiris said, when I'm on the ship, I will answer. So he departed and went into the Aeration, to the side of which his own fire ship was made fast. And presently he commanded all who chose to come aboard. And lo and behold, the whole of them, even more than 5,000 million, went in. Osiris at once commanded the ascent, and thus he delivered them high up in atmosphere, where his proper officers had already. Okay, I get it. Oh man. Okay. I completely just missed what happened. Okay. So remember, in the first place, these ninjas were the ones wreaking havoc all over the earth. And so they called this National Day of Prayer, right? They called this National Day of Prayer. Everybody at the same time, everywhere on the earth, hold this National Day of Prayer. So all the fetus and familiars, when they take off and run, because remember, if you cast them out from one place, they're just going to run to another place. But if every place on earth is holding this national, worldly, all the earth's people holding this Earth Day of Prayer, the familiars will have no place to run, right? Because everybody is in sync and they have to like come up off the people. When they come up off the people, draw them here, let them know it's a big party going on. Osiris is throwing a party and all of them are invited. And then they had this 70-day feast, right? All the beauty and everything. Because remember, a lot of these fetals, they're people who had passed away. They clung on to family members. They refused to rise higher, or maybe they lived a life where their spirit was dense and they couldn't rise higher. So they just began to cling on to people. They became mad, deranged, caused people who are still mortals, who had not passed away, caused them to be deranged. They're causing crimes. All of these things that we learned about, that Susan B. Martinez wrote in her Spirit Guide to the Field, the Spirit Guide, Field Guide to the Spirit World book. All of these things are happening. So we have to get the fetals, all the crazed spirits off the people so we can restore order to the earth, to continue to help them to grow and move down a path of growth to rise higher, right? So they threw this party, the familiars came, listen, when Osiris told him, he said, listen, going back to your masters, do them good so they can grow. He was using reverse psychology. It just dawned on me. All of this is just coming back now. He was using reverse psychology, and the whole point of throwing the party was to remove them. But he had to make them think, and they had to believe, and they really had to choose to literally go. The slave said, we don't want to go back with them ninjas. And the slave master's like, them ninjas is right. They shouldn't come back to us. And we shouldn't have them. We all should go with you. We're going. Slave, no, hey, brethren. No, it's not slaves no more. You know, right? Yeah. You ain't our slave, brethren. Taskmasters, false gods. We want to go? Yeah, man, we want to go. Everybody, Osiris, we don't want to stay here. Take us. So all of these fetals, familiars, all these spirits that had been wreaking havoc, they was like, we don't want to stay here any longer. When before you couldn't pry them away, like, get away from us. This is our home. We ain't going anywhere. So now after this party and it's lavishing of love upon them and teaching them how to do some spiritual things, it's like, yo, what have we been doing down there on the earth? Why are we still there? They're like, no, we don't want to stay there. We're going to go with you. That's why Osiris said, listen, y'all can't go with me. Please take us. He said, listen, I'm going to answer y'all when I get into the ship. All of this reverse psychology got into the ship. And so he said, listen, okay, everybody that want to come on, get on the ship with me. And all of them, like clockwork, They ran of their own free will. Spirits still have free will. Of their own free will, they completely left the earth, got into the ship to go. Like he didn't have to force them. He used amazing understanding of humans and spirits to get them to make a choice on their own and gladly. That's something we should be doing here. We shouldn't have to listen. We shouldn't have to force our children to clean their room or nothing. You just have to use some wisdom and a little bit of reverse psychology, not to hurt them, but to help them, even if they're not willingly taking part in the helping of the cleaning of their room or whatever it is. You have to figure out what makes them tick, right? Are you hungry? Well, you know what? New rule in the house: no one eats dinner until the rooms are clean, right? And then it's like, I don't want to help her clean her room. We ain't mess it up. Well, the rule is if you get done early and you see your sister is having a little bit of trouble, she's just throwing a tantrum, y'all gonna get hungrier. She's gonna get hungrier. So they're like, come on, Bella, we're gonna help you clean it up. And so now everybody's working together. We hungry, right? They do the same thing in boot camp with people, right? One get in trouble, everybody get in trouble. If you see your shipmate or your comrade having issues, go help them. Don't just be out there for yourself. He used that same type of understanding and principle to get the feudals and familiars and the false lords and gods off the earth. They chose of their own free will. Yes, we're gonna go, right? And that is amazing. 5,000 million, literally, that is nearly the whole earth. Literally, it goes back here. It was literally, it talks about how many were here. The whole earth was going in an uproar, and they didn't want to enact the Plan Z again. Remember what Plan Z was? I ain't gonna say who got hurt, but they had to do a clean sweep with Plan Z. That was when Pan got sunk, right? But now the earth's people have developed to a certain level of understanding where we don't necessarily need to wipe out a whole continent now, because the people are a little more learned, they understand a little bit more, and they can now help us help them. Right before, we was just taking them, leave them alone, let them keep growing. But now when you do that, you have to inform them. Listen, just like on children when they get older, yeah, I was helping you clean your room when you were younger. Now you're gonna go clean that room yourself, and ain't nobody gonna go in there and help you. Right? You can do that. You are of age. Or when they're younger, yes, stay out the kitchen, we'll cook. But as you get older, like, what is wrong with your hands? And ain't nothing wrong with your feet. You better get in there and fix yourself something to eat yourself, or you're gonna starve. These are these same principles operating over and over and over again, whether it's here in the flesh or spiritual laws. There is happening everywhere, and it's incumbent upon us that we recognize them and understand them and learn how to flow with them and act with them, right? Okay, look. What time is it? Oh my gosh, it is 8:16. And we ain't even got to the whatchamacallit yet, and we still on this one chapter. Okay, we definitely not gonna get into the book of Noah today. Dang, look. If this was the weekday, I'd have to cut this off right now. Okay, let me read this. I'm gonna just keep on going. All right, 20, verse 20. Hold on, nope, that's way too far. Verse 25. The universal shout was, we will go with thee. Take us in your fire ship. Teach us how to improve our talents. Osiris said, what will the lords do? Shall they remain without subjects? But the false lords answered quickly, we will go with thee to be servants to do thy bidding. We will also go with thee to be servants to do thy bidding. Osiris said, when I am on the ship, I will answer. So he departed and went into the aeration, to the side of which his own fire ship was made fast. And presently he commanded all who chose to come aboard, and lo and behold, the whole of them, even more than 5,000 million, went in. He ain't had to touch nobody. He ain't had to take a whip. He ain't had to put guards and keep your guns on them, get them all in here. He ain't had to do none of that. They don't even use weapons. You don't have to when you understand the nature of man and how to use. This is amazing. This is amazing. Hold on. Osiris said, when I'm on the ship, I will answer. So he departed and went into the aeration to the side of which his own fire ship was made fast. And presently he commanded all those who chose to come aboard. And lo and behold, the whole of them, even more than 5,000 million, went in. Osiris at once commanded the ascent, and thus he delivered them high up in the atmosphere, where his proper officers had already provided a plateau of habitation for them. And the name of the plateau was Asan, signifying no escape. We got to get them off of here. We got to get them to another whole realm so we can teach them so they can grow higher. They can continue growing, right? Osiris at once commanded the ascent, and thus he delivered them high up in atmosphere, where his proper officers had already provided a plateau of habitation for them. So remember, he was using reverse psychology. His whole point was to get them out of there in the first place, right? And so they're up there once they departed. And remember, spirits, when they're of a lower understanding, they don't automatically know where everything is in the spiritual realm. They got roads and highways and tunnels and things just like we do what we see on the earth. A lot of us, if I needed to get to, let's see, California from here, I would need to use a GPS, because I couldn't just set out on my own and go find a place. I'd probably be going in the other direction, but I would need to learn how to read signs. Even if I didn't have a GPS, I would need to learn how to read signs, right? And if I didn't have signs, or I would need to learn how to stop and talk to people. So it's that same type of thing. When you are just born into the spirit realm, and it takes many lifetimes to even begin to navigate all of these things. So that's why they set this realm that they was taking them to, this plateau where they was taking them to. He said high up, because they wouldn't have been able to find their way back, even if they decided after they got up there, man, this ninja done tricked us, we going back. Bro, you out here, where you gonna go? And ain't nobody gonna give you directions to get back to the earth. Look, Osiris said, when I'm on the ship, I will answer. So he departed and went into the aeration to the side of which his own fire ship was made fast. And presently he commanded all those who chose to come aboard. And lo and behold, the whole of them, even more than 5,000 million, went in. Osiris at once commanded the ascent, and thus he delivered them high up in atmosphere, where his proper officers had already provided a plateau of habitation for them. And the name of the plateau was Asan, Assan, signifying no escape. For here Osiris decreed to have them educated and purged from evil, nor was it possible for them to return to the earth of their own power and learning. And that's the end of chapter 10. I think we're going to pause right here. I was going to read, oh yes, getting into the rules and stuff. Let me ask y'all, because it's Sunday. Chapter 11, after he get them up here, he start going through some of the rules and regulations to help them grow. Y'all want me to read this, or y'all want me to save this for tomorrow? I'll wait. First answer gets it. Keep reading. Read the next chapter. Just go to the Megillah. Trina, hey girl, hey. Cosmo and Cal, what's going on, brother? I'll wait for somebody to answer. Y'all want me to read this next chapter? Read? Okay. Fritz said read, we'll read. Okay, so chapter 11, Book of Osiris, Son of Jehovah, page 143. It's chapter XI in Roman numerals. Okay. In Asan, Osiris appointed Shaban as god over the delivered host, and Shaban selected officers and teachers, and then divided the people into groups and sections according to their development, and then erected schools and nurseries and factories, and put the inhabitants to work, feasting them plenteously with rites and ceremonies. After Asan was duly organized, Osiris departed and went and sojourned in various kingdoms that had been established by his lords. And all the heavens of the earth were thus organized anew under Osiris. And the whole of time And the whole time of organization was 3 years, but Osiris spent the balance of dawn and Verbrage perfecting it as the central kingdom of atmosphere. And lastly, he decreed the appointment of 10,000 lords to dwell on earth, some at the temples of worship, or oracles, some within the cities of the Gonds, and he decreed for his lords as followeth, to wit, ye shall not teach mortals of heavenly things. You know what? I misspoke. Okay, these are the rules for the people after the familiars and feudals have been taken off. Now we got to straighten all this out. The earth people, they're straightening out. Okay. And lastly, he decreed the appointment of 10,000 lords to dwell on earth, some at the temples of worship or oracles, some within the cities of the Gonds. And he decreed for his lords as followeth, to wit, ye shall not teach mortals of heavenly things, neither by inspiration nor through the oracles. Ye shall not suffer them to commune with the spirits of the dead, not even their own kin. And we see this also in the Bible, right? But we get a little bit of backstory. We understand why, right? It's not just because you're doing witchcraft. Like Christianity, give it to you, don't commune with the spirits of the dead because it's witchcraft and it'll pull you straight to hell. Don't do it. That's not why. That is not why. You shall not teach mortals of heavenly things, neither by inspiration nor through the oracles. Ye shall not suffer them to commune with the spirits of the dead, not even their own kin. Ye shall not permit spirits to come to their mortal kin, and the spirits of those who die in infancy ye shall deliver to the Asaphs in Verbrage. Ye shall not permit spirits to inhabit deserted houses, nor permit them to form habitations on the graveyards or on the earth. Ye shall not permit spirits to inhabit caves, nor waterfalls on the earth. Ye shall not permit spirits to obsess mortals, nor to speak through them by entrancement, save they be such spirits as ye appoint in order to carry out these my decrees, or save they be masters of generation, or Lewises, whom ye shall appoint over mortals for other purposes. Ye shall control the selecting and appointing of guardian spirits over newborn mortals. Okay. Ye shall control the selecting and appointing of guardian spirits over newborn mortals. And all such guardian spirits shall teach their wards nothing of heaven near the earth, but inspire them that it lieth far away and very high, from which place none return. And the guardians shall also inspire their wards to consult God only, or his Lord, and to do this by secret prayer. This is kind of what the church teaches and what the religions they teach now, right? I see some of this truth still being enacted, but the understanding of it all is lacking, I would say. And sorry, y'all, for all the sniffing. Listen, I had to take. Look, I've been down in my all my juices and berries and my fruit elixirs to knock out whatever is trying to get me. I had to take Bella to the patient first over here last night, and she had strep throat while we were gone. I ain't gonna put my son out there on Front Street. But my oldest son, sometimes he come in and sometimes he don't. The mini Murphs or the grandbabies, right? Mini Murphs are our direct children. The mini Murphs are the grandbabies. So the mini Murphs go to daycare during the week and school. Our children are homeschooled, and so it's just, you get it, right? So they're picking up germs from everybody else that they're in school with and the daycare and stuff. And so a lot of times when they come over there, they got runny noses and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I am going to need y'all to FaceTime me the next time you think about coming back over to our house. And I need you to have your doctor's papers, your holistic. I don't care. I need to see the papers. The doctor say your kid's not sick, right? And I need to look at all of them, and I need to Okay. I'm gonna need y'all to stay on FaceTime for like 30 minutes because a child can't hold in the call for 30 minutes. I'm gonna need to physically see y'all through FaceTime and make sure it not one droplet of sneeze or nothing. Nobody can come to our house anymore without a permission slip, right? So when they come, they pass bugs along, and the kids here get sick, and everybody like to come to our house. So everybody come here, and it's like you're passing germs around. I'm like, listen, we ain't doing this crap no more. Look, call us before you want to come over here. Tired of y'all coming through here passing stuff through, and I gotta go disinfecting my house and stuff. So, but yeah, I can feel my voice breaking up a little bit. So I'm a up my stuff today. But I took her to patient first last night, and I'm glad I did because she had strep throat, So now when I get done, it was so late when we went last night. When we get done, we're gonna take the other three and go because they had been complaining about sore throats and stuff too. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So now I was livid last night. And my son, my oldest son, I'm glad he was asleep because I had time to cool off. Me and my husband had time to cool off. And it's nothing he can really control. It's really not, right? Because he get the kids every weekend. And but there is like a little barrier there because if they sneezing and stuff, and he hear our mouths enough to know that no, we can't go over cooking pop house today. You done coughed. Like we is not for the shenanigans. Ain't nobody trying to be sick. And especially also because the weather is like in and out too. So, but she's good. She had strep throat. She was complaining that her legs and stuff was hurting. Then she started like breaking out in a rash. I'm like, oh no. So, but that's what it was. And they said it was actually going around, which we didn't know. But so they say, yeah, bring in the other three just in case, because they had already been complaining. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so I had to call my sister because her girls had been over here. And of course, now she mad. And she said, who was the outbreak monkey this time? I'm like, who is always the outbreak monkey? So me and my sister going off on the phone with one another, whatever. And then my oldest son wouldn't even answer the phone, but he was asleep. About a little bit after midnight, he responds to the message. Oh, Mom, I was asleep. I'll call you in the morning. I'm just like, boy, this ninja here. So, but that was probably a little bit TMI, but that's why fighting out off this little bug or whatever and had to disinfect my house. So bear with me, y'all, and my voice. Okay, back to this. All right. Verse 11. And all such guardian spirits. Oh, wait a minute. Deshaun, hey girl, hey, dreadful Cosmine, shalom, shalom, Will MD. Listen, sis, he needs something like I don't care if you just want to come over here and give us a hug. Mom, Dad, we miss you. Listen, we're gonna start enacting them rules that they first did with COVID. Don't leave out your house, don't go visit nobody. You know how people throwing birthday parties, doing drive-by birthday parties. You stay in the car, drive by. We'll wave at you. Don't get out the car, right? They setting up plastic tents and stuff, set up a plastic tent at the door. You want to hug me? Stick your hand through these plastic gloves. Come on. All right, I love you. Get away from my house. Listen. And all such guardian spirits shall teach their wards nothing of heaven near the earth, but inspire them that it lieth far away and very high, from which place none return. And the guardians shall also inspire their wards to consult God only, or his Lord, and to do this by secret prayer. And that the Lord and God are all goodness and all wisdom and all love and all power. And that all evil cometh from tetrarchs, or evil disposition, born with man's mortal condition. And ye shall inspire mortals to acquire a knowledge of the sun and moon and stars, giving names unto them together with their places in the firmament, and give them temples for observation and tablets for instruction. For in all things ye shall direct man's soul to the acquisition of corporal knowledge, causing him to look into corporal things to find a reason for the behavior of all created substance. This is good. And they shall not And they shall not in any sense longer depend on the spirits for knowledge nor truth. For I am not laying the foundation for spiritual knowledge on earth. That must come after. For as Jehovah first gave to man a corporal life, then a spiritual life, so am I laying a foundation for a new race, the Gons, on the earth. For from their kin shall spring forth the heirs of Cosmon, who shall embrace both corporal and spiritual knowledge. And that's us, right? That's us. We are embracing the physical as well as the spiritual knowledge in tandem so it can grow together, right? And it helps us to grow a little bit faster if we always incorporate the spiritual aspect and see while we're getting these results over here in the physical. A lot of times we can look at the physical and we can figure it out from the scientific understanding why this is happening here. You touch the stove while it's hot, it's gonna burn you, right? But sometimes you may not be able to actually figure out something a little bit more complicated. You may not be able to figure out the physical cause, like when dealing with people or dealing with a narcissist, right? You may not be able to quite figure out how to deal with them. You have to use the spiritual aspect to be able to tap into why they even got that way, right? So you have to use a higher understanding, a higher a higher understanding to be able to look at a person and dig into their into their life and their background and their childhood to figure out how they got this way, right? So we use physical and spiritual to uncover some hidden things to help us progress, heal, and get past a certain point, because nobody's born a narcissist, right? You got to figure out how they got that way. And especially if it's somebody you love, you should be there helping them to get on that path of healing. Even if they don't want to be on the path of healing right now themselves, they're fully content with being a narcissist and creating havoc and running amok upon the earth, right? You got to learn how to understand it. And a lot of times you got to steer clear of it. But sometimes some people don't have a choice because of the situation, maybe because of the age, maybe parents are narcissists and you're a child, right? And you're not of the age yet where you can even talk to them in a way that they will listen, because it's nothing you say matters, my rules go, right? So children, a lot of time when it gets to a point where it's really really tough and they don't know what to do, younger children, they don't know what to do. They'll stand there and take it. As they get a little bit older, those children tend to run away, right? It's just a lot of things, and right, Dawn, childhood traumas. And so the parents, they didn't just get that way. Nobody was born a narcissist or a really hard person. You really have to do some research and figure out how they got that way. Because a lot of times there are people who need massive healing. Their lives really need to be unfolded. They need somebody to help them unfold their lives and see everything, and they have to remove some things, they have to adjust some things, the ways of thinking that were embedded in them when they were younger. They have to deconstruct all those things, right? Sometimes we're not ready, we're not properly equipped to deal with people like that, and sometimes we just have to steer clear and allow somebody else along the way to step in their life at whatever time it happens, right? All right. Yeah, generational cycles, like all of those things. So let's see, we almost done with this chapter. I'll go back to verse 17. For in all things he shall direct man's soul to the acquisition of corporal knowledge, causing him to look into corporal things to find a reason for the behavior of all created substance. And they shall not in any sense longer depend on the spirits for knowledge nor truth. For I am not laying the foundation for spiritual knowledge on earth. That must come after. For as Jehovah first gave to a man a corporal life and then a spiritual life, so am I laying a foundation for a new race, the Gons, on the earth. For from their kin shall spring the heirs of Cosmon, which is us, who shall embrace both corporal and spiritual knowledge. But these shall rise in corporal knowledge and go down in it, suffering death, and that which I now reign on the earth. Read that again. But these shall rise in corporal knowledge and go down in it, suffering death, and that which I now reign on the earth. Ye shall teach them in truth, but they will in after generations contort your teachings into corporal worship, prostrating themselves before the sun and moon and stars, going down in disbelief in not only the spiritual life, but in the great spirit and his gods and lords. And after generations, but they will in after generations, after generations is number 2. And at the bottom it says, after generations, all subsequent similar changes are not footnoted. See editor's note number 6. Editor's notes are at the beginning. Okay. Ye shall teach them in truth, but they will in after generations contort your teachings into corporal worship, prostrating themselves before the sun and moon and stars, going down in disbelief in not only the spiritual life, but in the great spirit and his gods and lords. And clearly we can see that happening today as well. All these things must come to pass on the corporal world, nor is there any resurrection in the latter days, save these of this day go through the fall, which I am preparing for them. For which reason ye shall found corporal knowledge in the stars, and name them, for these things will be testimony in Cosmon of the fate of the worshippers of corporal knowledge in the time of the Osirian cycle, wherein ye shall leave nothing undone that can be done to make mortals put aside all spirituality, save believe in the great spirit and a distant heaven, but make them pursue knowledge wholly corporal. Hold on, y'all. Verse 25, for the labor of God and his lords shall not always be to fetch spirits back to earth, to learn of corporal, for this is not Jehovah's plan. A heaven shall be built up of corporal knowledge, which shall have a base in the firmament of heaven, where spirits can be taught in time to come. Fear not that man can be too unbelieving in spiritual things in this age. Jehovah requireth even perfection in unbelief in certain periods of times, and this is the founding of that era on the earth. Do ye therefore these matters with all your wisdom and strength, and may the light of Jehovah be with you now and forever. And that's the end of chapter 11. That was really good. So we got 2 more chapters. We'll probably finish those tomorrow. So it was really, really good, y'all. So let's hop over here to the secret Nazarite scroll. Hold on. Nazarene is seen. Shalom, shalom. Oh, that's good, right? So worth the work to be free and knowing you did the work, so generations after you won't have to. I agree with that so much. Gloria, good morning. Listen, we're all really familiar with generational cycles, right? Listen, you know how, and this is back in the scriptures, right? So you know how it says the curses of the father and the mother visit the children, all this stuff, and then the children are going to be suffering for the father's sins. Listen, a while ago I understood that generational curses, they're passed down, but they're not, right? And here's what I mean by that. Although let's say your parents have an issue with drinking, right? And then you grow up in that and you see all of this and you make this. Now it happens one of both ways. You go to one or the other extreme. Most people go to one or the other extreme. Either they're going to be a super drunk like their parents were, or they're going to go all the way to the other end of the spectrum, and they're going to be super hard and religious on those that do it. And then you have the few that find the middle ground, right? And they begin to understand, first of all, my parents weren't born that way. You know, and that's all I saw when I grew up, so this is all I know, right? But I know that there's a better way because all people aren't like this. So let me start looking, okay, what happened? So with some people that I know, I began to look into their lives and just go into the background and just finding out some history and the things that they saw, and then hard decisions and like life comes, like all of these things began to pile up upon people. And the only way they know how to deal with it is to revert back to the way that they were brought up, because they're already bent in that direction. So it's easy for them to flow with that bend, right? It takes work to unbend yourself, right? And it's hard. And a lot of times it's painful. And it's easy just to run back to the comfort, right? So hold on. I want to make sure. Okay. So when you, I don't want to get into all the, I want to try and just hit the point. So what happens is those things can be passed down. So you have the sins of the previous generation, whatever it is your father and your mother was dealing with, whether it's alcohol or drugs or maybe pornography or whatever. There's a lot of different things, food or just a lot of different things, right? That people would, when you indulge in it, it becomes excessive and it becomes a sin, right? And you begin to kill yourself with it. So there are there are those sins that your parents dealt with, and then you grew up seeing that. So if you choose to walk in the same way that your parents did, you will inherit those sins by choice, right? They're not just put on you, because each generation has a choice to live in their generation, right? Your generation has troubles of its own that you have to deal with. But now when you choose to take on the sins of your forefathers and foremothers and add them to yours, now we get what you call generational curses, right? And they're passed down, and they keep passing down, but they don't come down automatically. Each generation chooses to take on the curses of the previous generation by not how can I use? They choose to take on it by choosing to do what their fathers and their mothers did to get in that situation. So not only now are they dealing with the sins of their fathers, but they're also dealing with the sins of their own generation. So now it's twice as hard for them to move on and develop, because they have chosen to do exactly what their father and mother did while trying to live in their generation, which is hard enough as it is already, right? And a lot of time you were not equipped to live in your parents' generation. You're equipped for the generation that you were born in, right? So that's what drives a lot of people down in the dirt, because they won't let go of the sins of their father and mother, right? You can choose, I'm not going to do that. But you have to by choosing not to do that, you have to educate yourself, so you don't find yourself in places that your father and mother found themselves at. You have to understand the triggers. All of these things, you really have to begin to educate yourself to stay away from the sins of the previous generation, right? That's the only way the sins or generational curses are passed down. It's not inherited, it's chosen. And some people would disagree with me, but we're going to disagree all day long on this, right? Because there are some things that my father did that I've chosen I'm not going to do. And not because, oh my God, it destroyed your life or whatever, because I understand what happened to you. Listen, real talk, not going to get into it, but I didn't understand until my father actually passed away how he got into the cycle he got into, because I didn't know my dad had written a book, right? After I got access to all of his stuff as we were preparing for like his funeral, all these different things. So we were just pulling information. I got access to some of his online files. I didn't realize that my father had written a book about his life. And when I read the book, hold on, y'all. Hold on. Pull myself together. I didn't realize it was just gonna catch me off guard. Hold on. Okay. When I read this book that my dad wrote about his life and what happened to him from the time he was a child, and as he began to grow, some of the things that he got involved with, some of the people he got hooked up with, even while joining the military and the Marines, and some of the things that transpired there and hooking up with those same type of people, with the same type of mentality and things that happened to him when he was a child, and it just put him on this path of doing things to get him to the place where he got to. I did not understand that until after my father had passed away, and I read this book that he wrote about his life, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it all makes sense, right? So now I love my daddy. He was a jokester, but he could be a bit of what my mom would tell you would be a narcissist, right? My mama's still here. My mom, as they get older, they develop whatever, and love matures. Love matures. But my mom, in the earlier days of marriage, she would tell you that my father was probably a male chauvinist pig. It was probably a narcissist, and some of all of these other things. Yep, that's my mom, right? But when I read this, now talking to my dad, anybody that ever known my dad, and a lot of men, some people are just, they're not going to share with you about their life, right? Things that you know about them, either you've experienced because you've been around them, you've seen some things, but like the deep inward parts of their heart, they do not let anybody in. But my dad chose to write a book about this. I don't know why he did it, but he did. I'm not sure if he knew. Maybe this was his outlet, right? But I have that book upstairs in my safe, and I had thought about publishing it, right? And not publishing it, I thought about publishing it in a way. I'm not quite ready to do that yet, but thinking about his life from the outside looking in, growing up with him, looking at the things that we experienced, some of the clashes that I watched him and my mom have, but then just kind of stepping out from this and stepping back into his life and going all the way back to when he was a little boy and everything that began to happen to him with some of the abuses as a boy, right? Abuses at the hands of somebody that he loved, right? Listen, bro, look, listen, the whole attitude towards women that my dad had, even though, look, yo, this is amazing to me. Let me just share just like a little bit, okay? I mean, not a lot, but I'm gonna just give you like the gist. Okay, so my mom would probably label my dad as a narcissist, right? And my dad, people from the outside, they would say like he's a womanizer, different, all these things. But he was cool people. Like people enjoy his presence, but there were just certain things about himself that he had to battle, didn't know how to battle it, with his father and his mother being split up and having him and his sister, my aunt, being sent to live and be raised by their grandmother, and then have the mom like in and out and then dying at an early age, like all of these traumas and stuff that built up. And then my father had a family member, which was a female, take advantage of him when he was a little boy. So now I began to see the making of this particular narcissist who I called my father and who I loved dearly, right? So there was something that bent him up when he was younger that caused him to begin to act outwardly the way he did towards women, right? And I'm just like, oh my God, and just reading through this and understanding and looking at the world through my father's eyes, I began to take on this I began to develop a special kind of love for people just like him. They were not born that way. Hold on. Let me pull myself together. Okay. I had no idea. I hadn't even thought about my dad's book till just now in a while. But you literally have to understand and deconstruct their lives to help them shake off and unbend and get rid of previous generation sins, right? Because they got enough to deal with on their own. So a lot of times it really does. Like if you're in a relationship with somebody, or maybe you have parents who, like we got the intuitive goat here, she got a whole channel on the narcissist. And although I've missed quite a few of her her podcasts and recordings or whatever, some of that stuff I'm really familiar with, just because of how I grew up, just different things like that, and some of my interactions with different relationships and things that I've had. So I'm not so quick to cut people out who are on that path, or they may be chauvinist or whatever, or carry that title narcissist. To them, they don't think they are. They are really living their life in a way that they've been bent. But most of the time, what they're really doing is trying to protect their heart that was destroyed many, many years ago. And they don't know any way other to do it, any other way to do it besides acting out against that. Sometimes they act out against men and women, but most of the rage a lot of times is towards the sex or the gender that has harmed them, whether it was a father or a mother. And they'll just, it changes the trajectory of their life, and they flip flop. And a lot of times we don't really understand it, and we just like, yo, you doing too much, I can't with you. Like we completely miss it. But they get off different red flags and stuff. And a lot of times things may seem direct and hurtful towards you, but it's really just a coping mechanism and deflections to kind of keep the heat off of them and keep them from dealing with what has torn them apart for so long, right? And I got a really close picture by one living with my dad. And here's where I think even a creator with giving Lewis's or guardian angels to certain people, and the different relationships they bring throughout your life, try to help pull you out of some of those things. So now, mind you, my father being what my mom would call a narcissist, and a couple other family members too. But JJ was a cool dude, and but just you get it. Anybody that's ever dealt with one. Hold on. Okay. So as he grows in life, him and my mom began to have children. What seed does he begin to produce? He produces more of what has violated him. He's producing nothing but girls, right? Because you have to deal with this, right? And a lot of people don't see it this way. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, it's all I'm learning. All of this after my father has passed away, and nobody's like detecting what's happening. It's just going on, being covered up, and everything he needed healing from was coming into his life multiplied, right? First child, daughter. Second child, daughter. Third child, daughter. Finally, he gets the son, right? But then you get a son, right? And through 3 children where you haven't taken the time to actually go through the healing of what has hurt you, it just kind of amplifies. It drives the hurt deeper, and it amplifies your output of what you're getting out. And now you have a male child, and all of that is directly, we ain't gonna say transferred, but in a way transferred. And the cycle begins to repeat itself. And if you don't learn how to talk and get these things out, the son begins to take on like this. It's like from another angle. Even though things that were done to my father were never done to his daughters nor his son, but the way he dealt with and didn't learn how to really develop conversation and talk about deeper things, it begins to hit the children in a different way. And now we began to develop certain things about our life that it kind of bends us in a certain way. And it now bends us in a way that attracts that same type of person that our father was, that dad didn't take care of. Now the children have to deal with, because now we begin to draw and we become magnets for that same type of thing that's destroyed our father. We become magnets for those things, and we draw it into our life. And so now you see the girls, different things in their life, and then the son. I'm like, oh my God, what in the world is happening? And then once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you can see it throughout all the families of the earth, right? Especially if you've dealt with this particular type of personality, which we'll call a narcissist, right? But it's like, there's so much I want to say about this. And let me just go back to his book. I want to take my dad's book. It's because I have personal, intimate knowledge, because he's my father. grew up with him, lived with him, experienced some of the things, overheard some conversations, but now I got it literally straight from my father's mouth. Granted, he's already passed away, but I don't feel like I was able to get access to that for nothing, right? And I want to be able, those things that he wasn't able to overcome in his life, that it added on to why he died an early death. I want to be able to take that and honor him in a way that deconstructs this type of personality from my experience and include some of the, this is going to be a long process because I gotta get my siblings on board with this and they understand that I got the best siblings in the world. I really do. But the healing with us comes from understanding what happened there and how we indirectly inherited some things that my father wasn't able to overcome. And if he didn't overcome it, he couldn't teach us how to overcome it. So now we're just kind of like fish out of water, we're grasping, trying to get back into the water, trying to figure this out. But now we have clues. My father has actually left us clues about his life and how he got there. So we're taking the time to just kind of like study it. Like I said, I want to take his book from his generation of what happened. And of course, we're not going to like put out names or anything like that, but also take some of our current generation relationship, marriage issues that we've dealt with, things that we felt like we had to accept, just different things like that. Deconstruct all of this and try and lay out a timeline with the generation. This is what I'm thinking about doing. I got so much I got to do with this, but just to give you an idea, I really want to. You seem like a no, not, I wanted to say an organizational chart, not an organizational chart, but it's like a you ever, okay, and I forget what you call it in business. You know how people, it's you know how you brainstorm, like you call a team together and you brainstorm and stuff. You got this big sheet of paper that they put out on the conference table, and everybody just, I forget what that's called. I literally had this 2 classes ago and we had to do this. I literally wrote one out. You just start with the ideas. You're getting the ideas down on the paper and just all of this. So you literally putting everything on the table, right? And now you just kind of separating the different things into the categories. You're creating a timeline. How did this get here? We're looking for trends and stuff and how to deconstruct this entire horrible situation. And after we deconstruct it and we can recognize things, okay, and we can explain it, we can look at it, okay, we definitely don't go down this road because this has proven to lead here. And look at that, where that's taken her. Now look at what's happening within their family. Look at how she allows this. So he feels that he can do that and nobody's saying anything. She doesn't even have the strength to stand up, say anything. Her like self-confidence, all of these things are affected. And I'm just like, this is, first of all, it's amazing at how deep this gets and how very specific each individual family is and how many different variables every family has, which is why some information may be good for my family and help us. And it seemed like you got the same problem we got, but the same information that we've used and benefited from may actually make y'all worse because you don't have all the details fleshed out. What happened? How did we get there? You know, and it's just, man, it's like, it's so much, but it's so enlightening and it's a whole education course in itself. And I think if more families are able to do that, we could help the families break generational curses and restore the families in a way that the earth has never really seen in, I'd say, ever. Right? Yes, babe.
I can get the candy now.
Oh no, we still gotta wait a little while because you gotta take that medicine in a minute. So listen, y'all had a whole bunch of comments coming through. Okay. Yeah, that's what I think. Jamia, he was probably trying to heal and release by writing his book. I do believe that. I do believe that. Let me go back up a little bit.
Mom, I want some of my candy.
Tootie, chill out. Hold on. I gotta go all the way back up. Ooh, that's good. And Dawn is like a psychologist or something. Hold on. She said, trauma can change the neural pathways in a child's brain. And I read about that like just a little bit. Matter of fact, there's a book that I have, but it was kind of like on a business plateau, but it actually brought that in, and because they gave examples from childhood. I believe the book is called Switch. I gotta check one of my other bookcases. Hold on. That's a good one. Thank you for writing that. Hold on. I think it was called Switch, or Who Switched Off My Brain. Y'all heard about that? I think that's what it was. Who Switched Off My Brain. I'm gonna share that. That is absolutely true. Hold on. I'm gonna share that for y'all. Okay. Let's go back up. Go back up. Cosma. Hold on. Let me go back up. Okay. Up here. Let me scroll through some of these. Actually, man, y'all said a lot. Okay. Cosma and Cal said learned behaviors as we was going through this stuff about the narcissists or people who have this type of personality. Also, by not understanding their family history. Exactly. Don said exactly. They choose to participate in the sins of their father and mother. I believe that is true, right? Which is how they bring those generational curses on themselves, because they choose to do the same things that their father and mother did. And when they choose to get that, they get the same results that their father and mother did, right? Cosma said, men are the only animals who actually learn from their surroundings. We take on the sins of our fathers, which is in our surroundings, right? Nazarene is saying that cause and effect. Sissy, have y'all taken care? Look, Tickle, don't get like Vernette. Look, listen. All of this is a part. No, I haven't. My daddy is still hanging out in my closet. This is like because of all of this, the background, this is like a bigger process for me. You know, his books. I mean, I could take it and just go bury it or toss it in the ocean or whatever. He wanted his ashes, because he loved to fish and stuff. He really wanted his ashes cast out into the sea. You know, we got him cremated, but we just got these the little memorial things I showed y'all many months ago. But no, I still not yet, because it's a lot of things that I think about. And I could just go do it like boom, it's out the house. But it's just other things that I think about, and his book is a part of it, and it's just a lot of things that I'm still trying to put together. So I didn't know I didn't yet, but that's why it's a lot deeper, and to me it's a little bit more complicated than just boom, we're following the rule and just it's done, right? Because it's I'm still working through it. So no, my daddy still, make a long story short, my daddy's still hanging out in my closet. Okay. If you wouldn't want the effect, don't create the cause. I believe that. And back here to what Dawn said, trauma can change the neural pathways in a child's brain. Okay. Defense mechanism. Deshaun said, I saw that this morning. Thanks for sharing, Pam. Some of us in the chat share the same family history. Very true. Jamia asked my mom, did Pam's father hide his beliefs on women early? That's a good question. Hold on, I'm gonna see what my mama answered. I mean, I think I kind of know, but we'll see. Huh?
You said what?
Oh, Jamia asked. She asked my mama that my father had his beliefs on women early on. So we just kind of got into the generational curses thing. We're talking about narcissists. So yeah. They do. Cosma said, hurt people. I'm not sure if my mom answered. Maybe she didn't see it. Hold on. He was probably trying to heal and release by writing his books. Big facts, family lamb. Very well said. My grandmother. It's time for healing to begin. Raise them up. Oh, okay. Okay, she did answer. She said, Jamil, you could see glimpses of it, right? And you can see glimpses of this. Like even before people involve themselves in intimate relationships with people, you can clearly see glimpses of this. If you're not all hot in the pants, hot in the tail, and you actually pay attention and you really get to know people before you want to get to know their flesh, there are a lot of things that will begin to come to the surface. And I'll say, especially if it's somebody that you really like, you're gonna really, I'll say, maybe this is not true in all cases, but I say you're gonna need to be in a relationship or talk to somebody, be friends with them for at least a year. And you're gonna have to spend enough time with them to get to know them, because nobody, okay, the more you stay away from a person, the longer they can fake the funk and pull the wool over your eyes. But if you're in constant communication with somebody all the time, it's only so much that they can hide from you for an extended period of time, because you get to know them a little bit more intimately. Even if you're not having sex, right? You get to know what triggers them, just different things like that. So the more time you spend with somebody, the more intimate you become. And that's not always meaning intimate as in sexual relationship, but you just, I know you, that's my dude, that's my homegirl, whatever. I know certain things about you, what your triggers are. So I would say you would have to spend like dedicated time, like on purpose, getting to know somebody for at least a year span of time, because within a year you're going to be able to see a lot of red flags. And if you're, especially if you're thinking about becoming intimate with them and take the relationship to another level where you begin to share bodies, you should look for them red flags before you choose to do that. Because a lot of us sometimes we see the red flags, but we're like, dang, the red flag is pink. Oh, that ain't really red, it's blue, right? We begin to change the color of the flags. We begin to make excuses for things, because now we're not thinking with our brains and with our spirit and our intuition, right? We're allowing the flesh to take over because it's something that our flesh really desires and really wants. So we begin to make excuses and we don't pay attention. We completely ignore. So when we get in these situations, and now this whole, we'll call it the honeymoon phase, or the period of enthrallment has ended, and now you realize these red flags were truly red, or these blue flags and these pink flags were really red flags all along. You weren't thinking straight. You were intoxicated with your own insanity, right? And so now you've gotten yourself into a mess, and sometimes it's not that easy to untangle yourself from the mess that willingly you willingly blinded yourself into because of an insane thought, or a momentary um a momentary a moment of pleasure that you desired, right? So we get ourselves in these messes and we have to fix it. Yes, babe. You're hungry? Okay, give me a few minutes, I'm almost done. All right. Oh yeah, an hour and 39 minutes. I don't know, y'all. Maybe we'll just end it right here today, and we won't even get into the Holy Megillah. So that's what I'm gonna do, because I gotta I gotta take them to get their checkups. Okay, so let me just finish going through these comments. That's what I think we're gonna do. We're not gonna read the Holy Megillah today. We're just gonna kind of end it on this note. OCS, only child syndrome, is great. I'm just saying. My mom responded to Jamil. You could see glimpses of it. I understand your point of view. Intuitive goat, Deshaun says she was a hurt lady. Okay, because you mentioned your grandmother. Okay, she was a hurt lady. I'm older and I realized she hurt me a lot and made me ripe for the pickings with a narcissist type. And I had to go through it so I can grow and get stronger within myself. That's good. And you're an only child. Wow. Yeah. So it's hard because like you don't like only like I'm not an only child. I really can't even relate. I don't even know anybody in my family that's an older child. There's many generations of my family that have come from many generations of multiple children, which is why we got 6. Right? Everybody got a big amount of kids, so we don't even know. I don't even know what only child syndrome is. I mean, I could tell you what I've heard, but it's unknown to me in my lineage. But I can see how that would really make it hard, because like, who do you really have to talk to? Like, I could always like run to my siblings and we talk, or even my girl cousins and stuff like that. It was always somebody around, always somebody in somebody's house, you know. So Okay, let's go. Jamia, she was responding to my mom. He may not have wanted those thoughts and was trying to mask them by pretending they were not there. I agree with that. I know my father, and I'm sure that I'm almost certain there was a lot of that, right? So, great. OCS is remarkable. Tikva is the only child, y'all. Okay. Cosmo said, crazy part is we never were able to perceive on this level. Say that, bro. Listen, like for real, you speak nothing but the truth right here. Like seriously, because I didn't have anything in my life to where that has raised up my understanding in a way that it have till I've come across a WASP. Listen, and remember when we was here before, and they still come in from time to time. Oh my gosh. I forget his name. Him and his brother come in. But they mentioned Owaspy a couple times in my comments. And the first time I'm like, I couldn't even pronounce like, what was he talking about? He was like, sister, you should check this out. I'm just like, okay. And then I just went across the comment. I'm like, okay. And I completely forgot about it. And he mentioned it a couple times in the comments. Hey, sis, did you get a chance to check this out? And I responded to him, no, not yet. I completely forgot about it. I'm going to look into it. Right. And so then I started looking it up. When I told him that, I think it was still about 2, maybe 3 more weeks before I even looked it up again, because I started going through my comments and I forgot about it. But I'm so glad that I did. Cosmon said, crazy part is we never were able to perceive on this level till Owaspy. It points to source or cause of human condition, or our human condition. I agree with that. And it's amazing. I haven't found anything. Even I love the Holy Megillah, and I ain't even all the way done with this, but still, even though I've fallen in love with it, it's still to me, it still doesn't match the Owaspy to me yet. No disrespect to anybody, any translation, but the level of understanding and growth that I've got just from the Owaspy alone, it's more understanding I've gotten in my entire life being alive. Physical education or spiritual education. And all of this happened within a period of 6 months. It took us 6 months to read from cover to cover, beginning to end of this big, thick book, Owaspy, right? My life has been changed forever for the better. My compassion has expanded. I'm looking at different things in my family from different levels, different perspectives, vantage points, and everything. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, this is literally, it's life changing. It really is. It really is. My mom said, Jamia, that's correct. I know he did not want me to see or know the depth of it. I'm certain of that. Like, and my mom, nobody has read my dad's book all the way through except for me. Excuse me. I could be wrong. Mom, did you read all the way through it? I know I told everybody I had a PDF copy, and I think I think I sent it to everybody, but I don't think everybody read it. Like, I know I'm almost certain. Listen, I'm almost certain my siblings and my mom probably didn't read it all the way through, because there would be some conversations that be like, Pam, this part in Dad's book, like, ain't none of them come back to me with none of that yet. So I'm almost certain, unless they read it all the way through and they just trying to internalize some of this stuff and they thinking about it. But yeah, like, no holds bar. He just put it all out, like all in there, like names and everything. I'm like when I first read, I'm like, oh my God, why am I even reading this? Like, and it's everything just graphic, just out there. I'm just like, oh man. So, but as I'm growing, as I've gotten to Owaspy, I think about that, and I'm just like, man, he's really left us a jewel, right? And it really could help a lot of people, because if and a lot of narcissists tend to show these same types of behavior, even though their situations may have been different that made them a certain type of narcissist. But the process is like still the same. It's the process of destroying a human being, and that human being being ill-equipped. I think that it's literally the destruction of a child. A narcissist is a childish, I'll call it that. A narcissist is nothing but a destroyed child. That's what I'll say, because it all happens back there. Like, yeah, yeah. Narcissists are nothing but destroyed children who have been bent up and broken. And this is their mechanism, their survival mechanism to stay alive in this world, right? And even though it's not right how they project themselves onto other people and stuff, it's literally their source, their skills of survival to just stay alive in this world because of all of what has been done to them, you know. And it's heartbreaking, it really is. But if we understand it, we could look, I say we show them a little grace. We still may want to choke them out because you didn't develop this whole adult. And now, bro, we going to the streets. I'm gonna beat you like you will, dude I don't know, on the streets, or I'm gonna lay these hands on you, sis, like you're not even my daughter, or I'm gonna fight you like you're not even my mama. Like what? That's the point they would drive you to. But if we understand the root and the cause of it, we can sympathize with the broken child inside of every one of them. And literally, that is what they need. Everybody may not be equipped to deal with them. And I would say for somebody to be able to deal with somebody like that, you would have had to either have been one yourself or have gone through the process of being raised up under one to be able to show the compassion and to give them the time to grow without wrongly judging them and their actions. Even though what they could be doing could be wrong, just wrong all the way across the board. But at least now you understand why they did that. And in their mind, they're justified at what they did because it's a defense mechanism to keep them alive. Most people don't see that, like, bro, you're going to jail right now. You know, and granted, you can't make excuses for some of the things where you're harming other people. Like all of these things, you got to consider all of these things, you know. And even when a narcissist, they get to the place where they're harming other people, we may need to bring in a law or whatever, keep you from harming other people. But sometimes you do need to be separated for a period of time just to think. Think, Leroy. Think about you. Think about what's happening to you, what's going on with you. And a lot of times, most of the people who are just full-blown narcissists, male or female, they are not choosing to deal with the broken child that they've grown up with, which is themselves, right? So they have to be put in a position a lot of times where, because they're like hard-nosed, they're like a lot of them are like alpha males, alpha females. Something literally has to, well, I'll say most of the time, something literally has to happen to them where they can't control it for them to begin to sit and think about what they have done or what they have become, you know, because they're just that. And it's like they're like bulls. And who is stopping a bull? Sometimes you need to take massive action and you got to injure the bull in order to be able to calm him down or to heal him. Just like somebody drowning underwater. Sometimes you got to knock them out. Otherwise, they're going to take you and them down and y'all both going to drown, right? So sometimes some immediate, hard, tough action need to happen to put them out of commission for just a little bit while you help them save themselves. And so it's a lot that goes into that. So growing up under one, attracting them to my life, not understanding how to deal with it. But now that I'm understanding my father, and because I love my father, right? I can deal with my father in love more than I can deal with anybody else. My father is the key to unlock the love inside of me, right? Because nobody, like, fathers are narcissists, I'm gonna kill them. Some people will. Like sometimes they'll drive you to that point. I'm just saying, but get the gist of what I'm saying. Because I can deal with my father in love, and then watching my father begin to have to, he literally had to get that, we got to knock you out, right? And now things are beginning to happen to his body beyond his control, where he can no longer be this ravaging bull that's bowing down everybody else. It gives him time to sit and think about his life because what else you gonna do? Like seriously, it puts you out of commission, not to harm you. And even though some people go into eternity to go out of commission, but I think for some people it's one of the best things that can happen for them, because as their time here in the physical world is dwindling down, they're actually helping to restore themselves, thinking about their life, writing it out, literally pouring what my father did, poured out his heart about what happened to him from the time he began to suffer abuse and being snatched away from his mother and father, and then the father coming in, coming out a couple times, not even really knowing his dad. Show up one day, I don't know that nigga. You know, all these different things, dealing with all of these things, all of this stuff he put into his book. And so now the life of a narcissist, to me, it seems like it's literally, when I see people who are narcissists, it's literally a child behind bars screaming for help. They just have on an adult costume, right? And so, but it's amazing the things that I've learned just by observing the life of my father. So that is correct. And my mom said, Jamia, I know that he did not want me to see or know the depth of it, because sometimes they don't even know how to express these things to some people, especially as they get older in life and they just learn how to keep secrets. It's like what's the point? All this time I haven't gotten any help. It's like they feel hopeless, you know, and so they'll just continue on in the way that they've been going, and until they leave the earth or somebody actually comes along that's patient enough to see past the symptoms, the hollering and screaming, the forceful words, the degrading words, all of these things, the bullying. Those are symptoms of a deeper problem, and a lot of people can't get past seeing the symptoms. And that's why a lot of these men and women, they don't get the help they need. They're broken as children and they die as broken children, even being full grown adults, you know? Oof. So then the opposite of trauma can too. I would. Okay, hold on. Mom, hold on. You said yes. Very good book. Wait, no. I think you was talking about Who Switched Off My Brain, right? I think that's what you're talking about. I got to go down a little bit further to see if you said you finished reading all of it. Some people are born with a corrupted heart. Listen, that's Josiah. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. Some people are born with a corrupted heart. Now, okay, now I can see, as understanding from a Lewis position, right? If you had generations of evil people and you're born into an evil family, I could see how it could be, right? But if you take that same, I'll say this. I think it has something to do with the family you're born in, yes, right? But I also think it has a lot to do with the atmosphere and environment you were brought up in as well, right? Because you can take that same evil. Yeah, you can change the environment and change the people that deal with these people with evil hearts. People, but they have to be like fully, they have to literally be living the life of agape love, because you're going to need a lot of patience with these type of people. But this is the creator's method. Think about how all the false gods are turned and got back on the right path. It's constant love lavished upon them. Even though they may spurn it, they reject it, they still may spit in your face, all this. The creator, he allowed them to go their way. But we aren't to change the way we deal with them. We are to still deal with them in love, because ultimately love triumphs everything over everything. And it is the cure for it is the cure for everything. Hold on. My picture's backwards. It's the cure for everything. It really is. But that's the hard part. You got to learn how to develop with that, right? So you have to learn how to develop in it. So some people can be born with a corrupted heart, and if they still stay in an environment where it's total corruption, it's just going to add fuel to the fire, and that person is just going to grow more and more corrupted as the days go on. But I think you can also take somebody born into an evil family and put them in an environment that's loving, with loving family members. Give them, like, maybe not the best of everything, but people who learn how to make the best of everything. I think the life can be changed, the heart can be purified. I've dealt with a lot of different people all over the world, and in my family, the different personalities. And it's love has to be cultivated, even in the hardest heart. The hardest heart can be taught to love and break up all that fallow ground. It's gonna take a while. It is gonna be a hard road to go, right? You're gonna lose teachers along the way. I quit. Get somebody else. You're gonna have a lot of them. But it's a road well worth walking down and learning patience, how to flow in that type of love with people, right? Because we never know. What if we're still in childbearing years and we give birth to a no, well, you can't give birth to a narcissist unless you're a narcissist. Listen, yeah. So, but what if, right? What if you didn't handle your ish, and then you pass that along, and you bend your children in that direction, right? So it's a lot of variables. It's a lot, Okay, she can't do it yet. And I lost the track of what Deshaun was saying. Hold on, let me scroll back up. The only child. I think you were still talking about your grandma. She was a hurt lady. I'm old, and I realized she hurt me a lot and made me ripe for the pickings with a narcissist type. I had to go through it so I can grow and get stronger within myself. Stronger within yourself, but also being able, like the platform you have now, what is it called? The stay narc free. I think it's your tagline. Stay narc free. I absolutely love it, Deshaun. Stay narc free. You'll be one of the best school teachers for, like, you hold a school for the narcs because you was raised under a narc, you was married to a narc, like all of these things. It makes us the best teachers because we've actually tasted the fruit of this tree, right? You can have people that haven't, and they try to explain to you what it is. Just like I remember Juanita Bynum. Don't kill me for using her example. She was talking about people who taste. Well, she was getting into tasting. The whole gist of her conversation was tasting the goodness of the Creator, taste the goodness of God, or whatever. She gave you an example of a strawberry. She said people who have never tasted a strawberry but are trying to explain to you what a strawberry tastes like are not going to be really effective, right? Like, you're not gonna, hey, it sounds interesting. Maybe I consider tasting a strawberry, next time I see one. But a person who's actually tasted a strawberry, y'all, hold on, wait a minute. See all this? Let me get this spread off my mouth. And y'all looking like, what in the world? Oh my gosh, yo, the how can I describe the juices and how they explode? Like, they give so much more. You can tell that they have been intimately involved with the tasting of the strawberry. And it's like, you gonna stand up here with the red all on your mouth, but you ain't bringing enough for us to taste. It's like, where do we get them? Like, stop this. Let's all just go to the strawberry patch right now. It's just like what we was reading earlier when Osiris, he was like, listen, let me get into the ship first. He said, then I'll let y'all know. Whoever want to come with me, he couldn't even get it out of his mouth. All the fetals and familiars, false gods, before he could get it out, whoever want to come with me, because the way he gave it to them, the way he allowed them to experience what happens when you rise up higher and grow, it causes them. It's a form of reverse psychology to turn on their thinking mechanism, to think about their life. Oh my God, yes, I really do want that. Whoever want to come with, ship was full. He couldn't even say, whoever want to come with me, we here, bro, let's go. Right? It's the same way. So those who have experienced the lifestyle under a narcissist, or whether they themselves have been a narcissist or a broken child, and they've learned how to heal themselves. Those are the best teachers because they have an intimate knowledge of the lifestyle, whether being one or being hurt by one. Your audience may be different, a little different, but it borders on the same line, and you can attract both. You can attract both those who have experienced the wrath of a narcissist and those who have been a narcissist themselves. You will be able to capture both markets of people because it goes hand in hand. Like you can't have one without the other, So you become effective being able to, whether you want to use the word minister, help them, you become effective to both groups of people, So, all right, y'all, let me go through the rest of these comments and we're going to, okay. Jamia said to my mom, he may not have wanted those thoughts and was trying to mask them by pretending they were not there. Right. Gloria, big family, beautiful, 9th child out of 12. Let me show you a comment again. Intuitive go OCS, only child syndrome is remarkable. Okay. Crazy, right? Go back to Cosma. This is where we kind of start going back up. Cosma said, crazy part is we never were able to perceive on this level till OWASP. It points to source of the call. It points to the source of the cause of our human condition, right? Okay. Whatever my mom said, the opposite trauma can be true. Switch, yes, it's a good book. Right here, that's what we pause. Some people are born with a corrupted heart. We talked about that a little bit. Leave her alone. Hide in the pants. Hide in the pants. Only seeing the good in them, ignoring the red flags. Right, that ain't a red flag, it's blue. Jamil, seeing the red flags and calling them pink. And if you're bringing your own trauma, you ignore the red. Exactly, Dawn. You ignore the flag. So now you got trauma on top of trauma. Trauma on top of trauma. Jamia said,
why won't it let me see my face?
Because you need to grow a little taller. My husband doesn't communicate as much as I would like, but I saw that while we were dating. I accepted it, but it bothers me more and more. It bothers me more now, more than ever. A lot of us, that same thing, right? But we don't see. I think what happens is we think that people are gonna just automatically change, and some things they don't automatically change because there could be reasons that prevent them from developing in a certain way because of a certain type of being that they had when they were children. Isaiah, turn it down. So like me, like my husband, he right there in the background. He'll tell you. He talked to me all the time about communication and stuff, right? But I was just even though like my mom talked to me a lot, about certain things. And sometimes my mom would just give me little pamphlets about things, and she didn't know how to quite explain it, especially when it came to, we'll say, the birds and the bees. It's time to start talking about sexual education. Now on later in life, definitely she's grown a lot and she's able to freely just talk about stuff. But earlier on, she was just, here, what pamphlet? That's probably why as a child, I'm like what child grows up loving to watch infomercials? That was me. This is probably why I love books. I'm like, no, but all my siblings, all my sisters, including my brother, we're all are readers. We love books, but we saw that from my mom and my dad. They were both readers, right? So we get it honestly. So we were bent in that direction because that's what we saw, and that's something consistently we saw with our mom and our dad. So all four of us, we are readers, and we do that.
So I came from a family where you communicate.
Right. My husband came from a family that communicate, and they communicate by any means necessary.
Right. Right. Cussing, fussing, but you gonna know this is how I feel. You gonna know this is what the planet. It was just different but then you gotta remember that's just the difference between you and I. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when you look at, everybody have a different mode of how they think.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just get to know that mode. That's all.
Yeah. So, which a lot of times I'm more of an introvert, and I think things through. You know, my husband, he's just gonna blurt it out. He don't care how you feel. He just gonna say it, and then get mad when you ain't got a rebuttal to come back at him, because he want to keep the argument. I mean, not argument. He want to keep the conversation going.
It's not always argument. It's all about how you think about it. It ain't an argument.
And so I'm not for. Look, I'm of the mindset of my mother. You think I just talk for my health? She used to say that all the time. And I found myself, I didn't realize what that meant until I got older and married and stuff. Like, am I just talking for my health? I know I just said this. It fell upon deaf ears. Am I talking just for my health? Apparently, yes. Right? Look, so but yeah, so that's something majorly, like the way my husband was bent. And when I say they communicate by any means necessary, I mean they communicate by any means necessary, even to the point they talk and laugh about it now. But this is horrible. They pull out weapons on each other. I'm like, oh my God. Look, I mean, not like I'm gonna kill you or whatever, but literally, you ain't listening. I'm gonna take the butt of the gun and I'll pop. Things like that. I'm just like, what have I gotten myself into? Let me tell you now, you ever pull some stuff like that, I'm going to have to answer to the creator for sending you into eternity early. I ain't going for the crap, right? So there were some things that I saw, and I had an intimate knowledge of my husband's background growing up. Remember, we're high school sweethearts, but I knew him a little while before we actually got married, because I met him when we moved to Illinois when I was 15 years old. So I met him when I was 15 years old, and by hanging out with him a lot after school and in the same neighborhood and going to hang out at his family house and watching the arguments that transpired in his house, and then getting married, and then hearing the voice of his father, his mother, it triggers me back to childhood. Your mama said something like that. Why would you, so I have this intimate knowledge of why he became the person he became. Like, I'm gonna like choke you out till I take your last breath, and we're gonna wait 24 hours to make sure you are truly gone. Like, I got intimate experience and knowledge of said narcissism, right? Look, so there is so which also I don't know. I just my education in life, although I wasn't able to put a lot of this stuff together earlier on, all of this stuff is really now coming together by going into the military. Listen, probably going into the military has been one of the best ways of helping my soft-natured spirit deal with somebody bigger than me, right? My husband, he towers over me. He's a big dude, and he comes from a family by any means necessary. He was a drug dealer, all of these things, right? So I thank the creator and my line of Lewis, my guardian angels, my path to giving me tough skin, right? Even though my husband has made my skin a little bit tougher, right? But being able to go to boot camp, I'm looking at everything in my life and how it's just helped me to develop and grow stronger from being timid, being drawn inward, being able to speak up for myself, going through this training, military, and then being in the security division, weapons division, going through that training, it helped me to deal with bullies and people who are bigger, right? Which prepared me really well to be married to my husband, because I call a lot of flags. B, that ain't red, it's white. White flag is ready. We're ready to go. The day me and my husband got married, I had 3 family members call to Illinois, say, Pam, what are you doing? Do not marry him. Like, seriously. I'm like, on the day I'm about to get married. Of course, it pissed me off, right? So now I'm running in the opposite direction. Let's go now. Look, went to the Justice of Peace. We ain't had nowhere to forget all them ninjas. Like, seriously. Look, hold on. Listen, look, when I be watching some of your stuff, even though I don't be commenting on it, I be cracking up because I have intimate knowledge of narcissism, right? From my father, and I love my husband, and from my husband. But I think the key for me was to I think, well, one of the keys, I think, while growing up in the house with my mother and father, and then, listen, I didn't have a bad life. Like and here's something that's amazing. Even though my father would be considered a narcissist, I never once seen an argument between my dad and my mom. Now, my younger siblings, after I left the house, would tell you another story. I was like, what? Why didn't y'all tell me? Like Pam, I was like, I don't ever remember seeing my mom and dad fight, except for one time. And this is like the only time where I can say that there's definitely something going on between them. This was towards the end of the marriage, right before they were about to separate. And my mom, she was just like, I'm sick of the crap. I'm going out. She went to hang out with some ladies from her job or whatever. At least that was the story she may have told my dad. I don't know. Not that my mom was alive. She wasn't. My mom is like, she's like the sweetest woman you'd ever want to meet, ever. Right? But she got sick of the crap, and JJ, you staying in the house tonight. I'm going out, have some fun. And so I think she came in. It was probably like a little bit after 1 a.m, and I was up. Now, I would normally, stop y'all, normally I would be asleep, right? But if we had cameras in our house, that night that she went out, she would have been appalled at the way my dad was acting. Not that he wasn't, but he was like, where the F is she at? Walking through the house and stuff. And I'm like, where the F is who at? Your mama. I'm like, you know where she at? Pinky. My mom, her nickname is Pinky. And so watching my dad and how he was acting, I didn't know what was wrong with my mom, right? So watching him flip out because she didn't change up her whole mode of everything. Normally sweet laid out, yes, I'm gonna stay in the house with the kids, work, come home, cook or whatever. But now it's like your whole mode has changed. So now the narcissists believe you out there doing what they out there doing, right? And so what the F is she at? So I'm just like, I wish I had a cell phone, but I didn't. So I went back in my room, and the rest of the night for like 2 hours, I stood in my window looking out the blinds, praying for my mama, like, God, please keep her safe. I don't know where she at. I had no clue what had been transpiring between them intimately, right? So I'm thinking she in trouble or something, but I don't know. But when she pulled up, I'm like, oh my God, thank you, God, for answering my prayer. So she come in the house. Apparently, not only had I been looking out the window for the last 2 hours, but my daddy had been looking out the window for Pinky for the last 2 hours too. So my mama come walking in the house, and we lived in Illinois at the time. So we had like the split level house. My room, me and my sister Leisha, the two oldest kids, our room was downstairs. So you can come into the house and you can either go downstairs or you can go upstairs. And so she came in, and so I bolted from the window, and I came to my door, and I stood at the bottom of the stairs. And then I was about to say, because of watching the shenanigans and watching my dad flip out, remember, she ain't had no cell phone. He couldn't call around. We didn't have cell phones like everybody got today. She didn't even have pager, right? He just had to wait for her to show back up. Go cut that down, please. So she couldn't even get the key in the door. Johnny James snatches the door open, darn near pulled the knob off. And mind you, I'm standing at the bottom of the stairs, so I almost caught the doorknob to my forehead. I could have been in a hospital because
what happened to you that I ain't know about?
Babe, you was down the street living at home. I'm talking about the night my mama had went out. She got sick of my daddy crap. Okay, look. So, but I'm just exaggerating a little bit. The doorknob didn't come off, but the way he snatched that door open, it sounded like that the whole door was gonna come off the hinges, So my mama walked in the house just as calm, cool, and collected as ever. And, she had on her little heels, looking as flash she want to look with her purse, makeup, all this stuff. Pinky, like he get up in her face. And I'm like, I think about this day, and I'm like, mama didn't flinch, not once. I wonder if she secretly went to boot camp and learned how to deal. Look, tell him, look, she up here. She laughing too. Look, hold on. Don't y'all see her laughing? That's my mama. No, look. Don said, "You telling all your mama business." Look, my mama laughing repeatedly up here, right? Look, so look, we we enjoy telling stories, especially if it can help somebody else, right? Listen, so my daddy, Johnny James Jr., snatches this door open, and my mama walk in the house like everything is right and just with the world. And so she walk in with her heels didn't flinch or nothing. He got up in her face, Pinky, where the F you been? And I'm like the bottom of the stairs, like, and so I jumped behind her and like put my head back so they wouldn't see me, so he wouldn't curse me out. And my dad never used curse words towards us, but I didn't know what in the world was going on this night. I just thought my mama was in trouble, and I was just thanking the Lord that he had answered my prayer and brought her back home, and she's safe. She walking in the house safe, and I'm thinking my dad can be grateful that the Lord brought my mama back home safe and intact, and he ready to kill her, right? So she walk in with her purse, looking as hot and sexy as she want to look, coming out from wherever she was hanging out at. Pinky, where the F you been? And she said, Johnny, get out of my face. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And I guess he was kind of taken aback by that because she ain't flinch. She ain't like, oh, I've been out. Sorry. She didn't do none of that. She said, Johnny, get out my face. And she ain't break her stride, not once. And kept walking. And so, however she maneuvered him from in front of her face, she must have just, I know you're joking, Dawn. Look, however she maneuvered him from in front of her face to him getting behind her, I don't know how it happened, but he was at first in front of her face because she walking in the door, Pinky, where the F you been? Johnny, get out of my face. It was like, Satan, get behind me, right? And so my dad must have rotated with those words, Johnny, get out my face. It's like he had no, it was like he had no power to stay in front of her face when she said, Johnny, get out my face. It was like his Lewis that was with him just automatically rotated him from the front of her to the back of her. And so now my mama walking up the stairs with this same confident stride up the stairs in her pumps, like, and he getting up behind her, like literally, when I say my dad's lips was on the back of my mama's neck, she ain't flinch, she ain't move, like, where the F you been, Piggy? And I look, as they going up the stairs, I'm coming up the stairs from downstairs watching all of this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope he don't hit her. And she said, look, and in her stride, before she got to the top stair, she stopped on purpose. Look, she stopped on purpose. She said, you better not dare. I think she said, you better not dare put your hands on me. And she continued with her stride up them stairs. And my dad didn't dare put his hands on her, right? But he was steady going off and all this. And so now I'm up there and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? Look, sound like Sophia from The Color Purple. Look, my mom was like, girl, did she have a cigarette in the side of her mouth? Listen, and my mama used to smoke too. Listen, she did all of this without the Marlboro. No, she didn't smoke Marlboros. Without the Newports. Ain't had a cigarette in her mouth. But at this point, like, it would have been movie material had Pinky had a cigarette in her mouth. Johnny, get out my face. The rotation of my dad from the front of her all the way to the back, and she continued to glide up the stairs without breaking her stride. You better not think about putting your hands on me. He paused again, like his hands is tied, and he just hollering and screaming now. So all of this is like a major motion picture going on in the house in my childhood. That was the most action I'd seen between my mom and my dad in like argument form while growing up. Now my sisters and them look straight power. Oh, that's right. My mama smoked Virginia Slims for a good minute. She smoked, that was her cigarette of choice, Virginia Slims. Look, the things that my siblings said they saw, like, I'm like, y'all are lying. Like, I ain't never seen, look, Jamil said Virginia, some smokers don't play. Clearly they don't. Look, well, I had to go through boot camp to get all this strength to stand up against a narc. My mama just said, hold on. How y'all pop y'all cigarette pack? That's all my mama had to do. Activate gangster, right? Look, so But get back to what we was talking about. So the intimate knowledge that I have growing up with my father of him being a narcissist and some of the more subtle things that now I sit and think about the conversation, some of the snide remarks that like come across the room, all those they didn't make sense to me when I was younger. But now that I had kind of grown up into something and attracted the same same type of person towards me. Like I love my husband, right? But had I not grown up in the atmosphere that I had, me and my husband would not have lasted this long because, bro, I can't deal with you. And like what y'all see with my husband now, that is years. This year we'll be married 22 years. That was years of, first of all, developing strength inwardly with myself because I truly did love him, right? I loved him. I would say I loved him from the time I laid eyes on him, right? And because before we became like intimate, we were like really good friends. And he played basketball. He was a basketball star, even like in junior high or whatever, and it's just cool people hanging out with the basketball team. Like never even thinking about him. Like, oh yeah, he cute. Okay. But as we got a little bit older and began talking to him just a little bit more, and going to hanging around his family, I fell in love with his family members and just different things. And I was quiet, but I also observed a lot. So that's something I also learned while growing up. I learned how to observe things really well. And even though I didn't speak my mind about things, I would internalize them and see what's really going on. I love puzzles. I love going to escape rooms, trying to figure things out. So all of these things I think about and I see how it's helped me to develop into the person I am today. And I ain't even close to where I'm going to be or where I'm even supposed to be at this point, But I see how also, as it's helped me heal inwardly, it also helped my narcissist husband heal as well, right? He ain't fully free of the narc shenanigans. No. But he is completely, I'll say, with the adding of our daughter into our life and already being on a path of healing and actually in our marriage, coming in contact with people who've also dealt with certain type of things, a spouse that's a little more inward, another spouse that's more forceful and don't know how to control their mouth, like all of these things. And just really throughout different phases of our life, coming in contact with people who's actually helped us. Now with some it's like, but people who are really transparent and helping us learn how to be that and just, okay, why did you even get married in the first place? What are some things, we know all the things that you hate, but what are some things that you can truly say that you love about them, that you adore about, like different things like that, helping me to put it in a different perspective and get out of my own head, right? Even though some of the things weren't right, they shouldn't have been done, but there were people in my life that helped me to get out of my own head, step outside of the situation, and actually begin to diagnose it. Where did it begin to go wrong, right? Whether like actually going back to these red flags that I call pink and blue and white, look at it. Why did that pop up? Why was that person triggered? I learned about trigger words in my husband's life when he was growing up, like the word stupid. He can't, and even though sometimes narcissists use words against other people, those are really terms that they despise because those words were used as weapons towards them, right? So like, I'll give an example. Stupid is one of the words that my husband despises, right? Because it was used towards him while growing up, engaging with different friends and stuff that also didn't know how to control their mouths. So that word is literally off limits in our house, right? But that's not because you just don't talk to nobody like that, but because he was hurt by things like that and he don't want anybody to feel that way, right? But if you get somebody riled up enough, what was in them, if they haven't been delivered of it, it's going to come out. And those things that they despise, they begin to do. Like Paul said, those things that I don't want to do, I do. And those things that I do, like whatever he said, I was trying to keep it together. I find myself, those things that I want to do, I can't do. And those things that I don't want to do, I can't find a way to stop myself from doing them, right? You got to learn how to deconstruct the process. So by my training, being able to step out of my head and stop taking everything so personal, when symptoms would begin to arise in my husband, I had to figure out what type of triggers I was throwing off that switched him back. That switched him back to some of these things, right? So, but now I absolutely love this guy. Come here, babe. Come show him your handsome face. This is my wonderful. I absolutely love this guy, right? We almost 100% narc free. but literally,
you are at the point now where you are almost have been married longer than you were single.
Right. The biggest course of education in my life. Kathy Shalom says, dating the Danite of Damascus. Look, so, but it takes time. It takes patience. It takes the maturing and developing of love, trying to see things from other people's standpoint. That's how you help people, how you get both the narcissist and the narcissist victim free, right? And a lot of times the best people to do that is those who have either have been a narcissist themselves or those who have been a victim of narcissism. And so me and my husband, we kind of just have this dynamic to where we can appeal to both sex, right? He can appeal to both sex. I can appeal to both sex, the narcissist and the victim, and he can appeal to the narcissist and the victim as well, because we have two in the same household who have learned how to, now we're not all the way, but we have learned how to work through some things, develop through some things, get free of some things, recognize things that were not our issues, that were not our personal issues. They may have been our parents' issues. We're learning how to deconstruct some things or whatever. And sometimes, like Kizzy said, I just became liberated from one. Sometimes that may be the best course of action for that particular relationship. And that's okay, right? Because the Creator wants us all to grow and develop and heal. Even if the person you are with can't help you heal, you should find a way to heal by all means necessary.
Did you ever say, how I was delivered from being a beater?
Listen,
a woman beater?
Listen.
Listen,
what I say, that's one thing we won't never gonna be. Because if you ever put your hands on me, brother, I ain't one of them ones I'm like, oh, James, no, B. We're going to be tearing up the furniture. It's going to be busted windows, and the window's going to be busted because I'll be through your hind parts through it, and then I would have jumped through the window on you and would have been stomping you down. So we didn't go that far. And you knew not to put your hands on me because I ain't going to sit there and take it, right? So he be joking with y'all.
And then she woke up.
Look, so... But as you grow together in marriage and learn how to get through some of these hard places, it really becomes a lot better. And a lot of times we can't see the light early on. But, it is what it is. The variables are different for different relationships, different marriages, and they have different outcomes, right? And
it's any drill bits at?
I don't know, man.
You don't remember seeing any drill bits around the house?
I do not.
All right. I gotta go to the warehouse.
Okay. All right, y'all, but look. Intuitive goat.
Hey, do me a favor. Pop, go upstairs and get my water.
That just me. Hold on. Hold on, let me go back. Intuitive goat said, I wish I could be with my husband. Sometimes, it is what it is, sis. Sometimes things don't work out the way we wanted them to or the way we think they should. But then also, sometimes I have seen it where people depart for a while, right? But if there was a real... I know it's hot. I'm sweating and stuff, babe. Yeah, I know.
You overheating? Like 85 Cadillac or something.
Listen, look, sometimes they come back together. Look, another real quick story. It's definitely a process. He want to come back? Listen, okay. I know I just put all my mom and my daddy business out in the street. I'm going to give you just a little bit more.
What you mean put our business out in the street?
No. Because I don't think you're ready for that yet.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, if you're gonna put our business out there, let it be two sides. Don't just let it be your side.
Listen, when we talk about it, we both have to be present for that.
Right, because I don't just say your point of view and I'm looking at like I'm the bad, man.
Right. See, listen, right.
So that's my piece.
Right. Okay. So we ain't gonna do that, but I'm gonna give another story about my mom and my daddy. look, Jeremiah. Dr. Ruth time. Okay, so look, this is what Intuitive Growth said to Sean. She said, I wish I could be with my husband. So look, sometimes there's a period of time where you are married to somebody and you decide, you know what, the best course of action right now, because we can't seem to get this under control. You're not happy, I'm not happy. Let's just go ahead and we're going to divorce or whatever, part for a certain period of time. And that's what my mom and my dad did. Then after many years, and then them dealing with other people, having time to develop just a little bit more, you know, they decided they will come back together. So let me tell you. Well, she here. She didn't tell me to stop. Look. No, look, hold on. Mom. Look, I did. If you don't respond, that means you are talking too much. Okay, babe, I'll just ask. Ma, you still here? Look, y'all been apart for about 5 years. Look, he says some things that makes me see, he may know. Some things you say, well, he understand what you were saying about how he treated you or whatever. Sometimes they do grow. Sometimes it does. It takes time for narcissists. Listen, when you become a narcissist, that means there is a lot of damage that has been done for you to get to narcissist status. Like if you reach the level of narcissist, you see narcissists, you got to automatically know up front, it's going to take time. It's going to take patience and a whole lot of love, constantly poured out, constant forgiveness to be lavished upon people who's reached this level in life, right? So, and it takes time for them. So even though my father had reached the level of narcissist in this lifetime, he didn't want to stay there. My mom said, "Wait, where you did it?" My mama, hold on. Talking about narcissism. Look, my mama laughing at my husband. She said, "You good?" Okay, so I'm gonna share the story, right? I mean, it's not as many details as the story about Pinky. Where the F you been, Johnny? Get thee behind me. And he rotates behind her at the sound of her voice. So, hold on. But living together again would be a way off for sure. Okay, so this is the story I'm about to say about my mom and my dad. Okay, so they had been apart. Oh my gosh, 2.5 hours. They had been apart for many years, right? And so after these years of being apart, remember I had told y'all the story? Like they were good friends now because they were really good friends before they got married. They kind of grew up together, same neighborhood, TWP, Tidewater Park, those of us from here, from Hampton Roads area, right? So they knew each other's families, and she had an intimate relationship of his background, right? Which probably led to the length of time that they were together. Anybody else would not have went this long with somebody who has narcissistic behavior, right? So, but because she had intimate details of his background, but my dad was kind of, although my dad my dad really did have a real genuine heart. He was a jokester. He loved to tell stories and stuff, but it's just a certain thing about him that caused him to be a certain way when it came to intimate relationships with a woman because of what had been done to him when he was a child, right? So they decided after these years, different people they got together with, and he got with somebody and then introduced them to one another. Now we coming from Virginia, having a big family Thanksgiving dinner. My dad walk in with Miss Vanessa. Who is Miss Vanessa? Everybody, hey, Miss Vanessa. Everybody walking up, hugging Miss Vanessa and stuff like she a part of the family. Like, who is this new person that walked in with my dad? Everybody, like, whatever, he brought a guest. My mom, hey, Vanessa, how you doing? Hug one another. I'm like, and I found out Miss Vanessa is my dad's girlfriend. I'm like, what the crap? Everybody loves Miss Vanessa. I'm like, I mean, I heard about her, but we was never part of this dynamic to this particular Thanksgiving. Everybody was at my mom. Mom invited everybody, Mom invited everybody to her house. Everybody shows up, big long table, dining room, everybody sitting next to each other, joking, talking, telling jokes and stuff. Me and my husband sitting beside one another, like elbowing each other, like pinching each other under the table. Like we just knew at any moment something was gonna go down. Somebody gonna start throwing food. Somebody gonna be beating somebody across the table. And my aunt, who was up here with my mama, hey Vanessa, I'm like, everybody know Miss Vanessa. I love Miss Vanessa. I'm like, hey, how you doing? You know, so everybody joking, having fun, all this. So all of this relationships developed between them and other people. My mom had actually got married again. You know, all of these things. I'm like, okay, this is the end of the relationship between my dad and my mom. But something had happened to where okay, so now I see about what my husband was saying, put my mama business out in the street. Okay, so there comes a time, we just fast forward down the line a little bit. So I'll just say this. My mom, okay, listen, okay.
12 years later,
listen, no, listen,
past the part she was about to explain.
No. Let me
explain.
Value.
People has business.
Listen, okay, so let me explain this. Okay, so by my mom growing up, being in a relationship with a narcissist, if you still haven't been fully healed from all of these things, right? You still kind of drawing that same type of attention to you. And so what happened? She drew another type of narcissist in her life that she got married to, but a whole different type of dynamic now. But this time, because of all the stuff she had going through with my dad, she cut that short real quick. Absolutely not. I'm not going through that again. And she look, I don't think she was smoking, but that Virginia Slim Pinky came out. Dude was out the door. She wasn't even playing. Like, I'm like, what? What happened? I ain't got time for that. No, I'm not going to. I'm already older. We ain't doing it again. Look.
And that's why we love Nani. Nani is the best. Y'all don't even understand.
They call my mama grandma. Everybody, all the grandmamas got their own special grandma
and
name.
Then,
I'm Cookie. My mama is Nani.
On top of that, I have the second one. The twin.
Okay, look, so make a long story short. So time progresses a little bit more. My mom has grown. My dad has grown some, right? Listen, I love my dad, and I think about my dad. It just automatically brings a smile to my face because of his shenanigans and stories and stuff. But listen, they decided to get back together after time progressing, right? They working this out, you know, and so they had planned, they was gonna do a little small wedding. And so as the time was coming, building up upon it, we thought, well, I'll say my mom thought my dad had progressed a little bit further than he actually had, right? So remember, she got the triggers down pat. She has been in another relationship, dealt with another type of narcissist, cut it short, right? She's grown a lot and developed. My dad, he's grown a little bit, not so much that he would be out of that dangerous territory, but as they were getting old, as they were planning the wedding rather, and I think y'all may have been like a few weeks out from the wedding. It was just gonna be like a little small wedding. I remember correctly, we was gonna do it at my aunt and uncle house because they had the biggest house at the time. And so we had like this little get together. And I think it was at this get together at my uncle and aunt house where I think it really sealed the deal for my mom. Was like, I'm not getting back into another marriage with this ninja. He ain't changed one bit. And so she was thinking about doing it. And then she finally told him, Johnny, I don't think I want to do this. What happened? True narcissist behavior kicks in and my daddy gone off. My mama, Virginia Slims, ninja. No, she won't smoking at that time. She had been stopped smoking. But it was that same type of thing. So my father still hadn't learned how to deal with certain type of things, and even with his forceful nature and attitude. And listen, to the day he died, he loved. If this was a thing, it's like a saying people say, people love your dirty draws. My dad truly loved my mom. Even though his shenanigans he couldn't quite fix, but he would do anything for her. Drop him down, he would do it. He don't care. Whatever, he would leave anybody. If my mama called and said she needed something, he would do it. But she didn't do that. She didn't abuse the power that she knew she had because she knew my daddy was ready to get back in at any moment. It's like, whatever we can do, we can figure it out together. We can work through it together. My mom was like, absolutely not. Too much time has passed. You still on shenanigans. You need to fix this because ain't. That's one of my mama's favorite words. Ain't, right? And she just
say that wasn't a word. See,
listen, let me tell my story. Look,
Mama, it sounds like you
look,
love outing
look.
people's business.
I gave my mama activated the gangster. Look, anytime y'all see me do this, or I pick up something, who took my phone?
So
I'm gonna have to get a fake pack of cigarettes.
that's
Look, so I can use it as a prop. Oh, there you go. Cause look, okay. So, but true narcissist behavior kicks in, and my dad start going off and all of this, and I'm just like, man, like he really blew up over this. It was like case in point. I mean, you can act a certain way only for so long until you are what's the word? You have to or you get into certain situations that really test to see if you really mastered this or not. And my dad hadn't mastered this part, the whole little anger issue thing and snapping off. And even though I didn't see it a lot, he kept it well hidden. That's just one thing that my parents really never did. At least while I was in the house, they did not argue in front of us. Apparently that started after I joined the military and moved out. And even before I joined the military, they had separated, but it was still kind of like keeping in contact and everything. But it was getting like worse and worse, but I wasn't there to see any of that. And so the stories that my siblings would tell you would be absolutely different from the stories that I tell you. And they can tell you some amazing stories like I can tell y'all. But if I had all of them here, this video will probably be 6 hours long, everybody giving their perspective of what happened during this time. But what happened is, because my mom had grown to a certain level and she had her self-confidence, all of this stuff had built up, because that's something that gets depleted as well. Your self-confidence, self-assurance, all of those things, especially when that narcissist is stronger than you, it'll break you down. And it's like, you want to go, but you can't go, even just to save your life, and you just like submit to everything. That's why I'm glad I was able to join the military, because it dealt with that part of me. And now, even though I won't go toe to toe and stand in my husband's face, but if need be, I know how to do it in love, right? And I won't go. I mean, I used to. It's amazing that our guardian angels kept us from fighting. But I used to, but I've learned in my wisdom on how to deal with him, because I realize a lot of time he's acting out of the bin he was developed in. And so I got to step back and realize that it's not really him talking. That is his defense mechanism, because he doesn't know how to deal with it. So it took me growing up a little bit faster than he did, so I can be prepared for some of these roads that we're walking down, so definitely living together, Intuitive Goat said, but living together again would be a way far off for sure, because you have to watch them. If you get back into the relationship and they haven't developed, it's gonna almost be like a tailspin backwards. And now that you've grown more, especially if you're a little more assertive, and I see you being assertive, I mean, that could turn into something even more detrimental. And now we're putting hands on one another because, bro, you ain't gonna talk to me this way. I'm not the same girl that I was. What you doing? You recording me? No. I'm not the same girl I was back then. You are recording me.
No, I'm not recording TV.
Okay, so, but as you develop, you have to understand these things. Look at the road markers, the growth markers. If your spouse, a loved one, parent, whoever, if they're hitting these road markers, you have to learn how to deal with them in wisdom. So that's all of my narcissism session I have for today. But yeah, so they, even though they would seem like the biggest pain in the butts on the earth, they're the ones who need the most love and compassion and the most grace, because a lot of times they don't even know how they got there, and they don't want to be that way, but they don't know any other way. And to stay alive, they just do what they've learned how to do over the years to be that way. And even people who and we see in movies, people who have like we see it a lot with people drinking alcohol or whatever, or somebody that a beater or something like that, they go to hit them, but they're just responding out of their being early in life, and they're acting out when one of their triggers get hit. And then it's like when they come to like, oh my God, baby, I'm sorry, I'll never do that again. They all of these things, and they truly mean it. But if you allow that to keep happening and you literally at that point when it goes to that level, something has to be done like drastic to them to wake them up. And a lot of times they got to go to jail. They got to sit in there for a little while. You have to make the choice to leave, like something. You have to get them to think, because if you keep allowing that particular detrimental behavior to go on and on and on, you're just adding to their bend of destructive behavior that they were bent in from a child. And now, even though they know it's not okay, they keep moving in that direction like it's okay because you accept it. So whether somebody cheating on you and you keep forgiving them, you gotta exercise that forgiveness with wisdom. Sometimes it can be like, okay, I forgive you, it's not going to happen again, or I'm gone, right? And if you tell them that, you have to actually act upon what you said. Otherwise, they're going to think you are a liar, or you don't have the strength to pull through or come through on the words that you said. Now they think you're an empty threat giver. Children will do the same thing to you. You do that again, I'm going to whoop your butt. They do it again, you don't whip their butt, you just yell at them. They're going to do it again, they're going to call you bluff, right? It's a principle that's at work here. And if you're not aware of what's happened and you don't go through on what you said you were going to do, 1 point for the narcissist, -5 for you. Like they gain a point, you lose 5, because you lose ground extremely fast when you don't follow through, because they can't take you serious. And narcissists, people like that, they need serious people in their life that are firm on their word and do what they say they're going to do. Because why? It causes them to think about what they do. It will bring accountability to them by you keeping your word to do what you say you're going to do, right? We could talk about this. We could talk about this forever, but at some point, yeah, just me. That's why we're apart. He tried me, so I left, and that's good. Sometimes people leave early enough, and sometimes people leave too late, and sometimes some people don't get a chance to leave at all, and they go into eternity. Whether it's the narcissist that takes their life, or they figure it's no other way out, and they decide to end it themselves, right? So it's a lot of different variables, all these things that are at play with relationships, marriages, situations, and so I got into all of that talking about my dad's book that we stumbled upon after he passed away, where he literally poured out his heart. So that book, in the time to come, as I finished developing some things, I would like to be able to use that as a healing tool for people. They'll get his point of view, they'll get my point of view, they'll get my husband's point of view. All of these things will be added in, and hopefully we'll be able to list out some steps, how to deconstruct the situation. I don't even really know what that's going to look like. It sounds good in my head. I don't even know how I'm going to do it, but I just know it's there, and it's a project that I have to tackle at some time or another. I don't have to, I can choose to, I want to, but I have to get it all in order and all those good things. So, but yeah. So when I do that, it's going to probably be many years from now. I don't know. I'll let y'all know. And hopefully I won't be like my dad and go to the grave with it still in the works, right? And I want that to be one of the works I help produce, and it adds multiple generations, their background and stories into it. My dad, who didn't get a chance to heal all the way from this, but us being able to deconstruct his life, seeing how that put our lives also in a tailspin, attracting the same type of thing that he never would have wanted for his girls or his son, right? Because it happens with men the same way, but it's kind of flipped. And my brother, it is crazy how this happens, because I think all of the girls, we all have attracted at some point in time in our life, we've attracted narcissists to us, but also my brother has attracted a narcissist to him, which he's finally been able to break himself free from. It's just like all that. I'm like, this is constant cycles being repeated because we didn't catch it. We didn't understand it. We didn't see the triggers. We don't know the mile markers, and we're all ignorant, and we're just trying to stay afloat because we don't understand what is really happening here. But Well, all of that, y'all. I hope this helped y'all. But yeah, I'm gonna need everybody help with this. And I got so much stuff I gotta do that I'm backed up on. And it all sounds good, but I'm still working through this this mode of development and time management and stuff. So I think by the time I get to this part, I'm gonna really need to have like a team around me to help me with some of this stuff, all of that. Y'all get it. But until then, I'm gonna just talk about it until stories live. It's just as good. It's just as good. All right, beautiful people. Yes, we're done. How long you been recording me, son?
8 minutes.
All right. Well, maybe I can use some of those clips. Both of y'all are recording me. Okay. So look, we'll get different perspective, different vantage points with these stories. I'll make sure I put in a little clip or something. All right. With that being said, beautiful people, we have got to go. We only read Owaspy today. We read
we could have read more.
Y'all, it is Sunday, May 28, 2023, day 42 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. Another 5-year consecutive day count. It is day 1421, and we read only chapter 10 in the book of Osiris, son of Jehovah, and that was page 142 to page. No, I'm sorry. We read both chapters. I'm sorry. We read chapters 10 and 11, page 142 to page 144, because I just remembered me asking y'all if y'all want me to keep reading. So yeah, I'm sorry, forgive me. But we only read those 2 chapters. We didn't even get over here to the secret Nazarite scroll or the Holy Megillah today. But I think it was purposeful, even though I didn't know we was gonna be doing this today, and we've been here almost 3 hours. But I think it was really, really good. Thank y'all for hanging out. Y'all the real OGs. This is what we got the weekends. We can do this on the weekend, but during the week, we got to cut out and get the day going with business. But with that being said, beautiful family, I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out today, sharing stuff, engaging. It was amazing. All right. Love you, Deshaun, sis, the intuitive GOAT. If y'all dealing with narcissism, check out sis' channel. She be doing live videos on how to teach you to stay narc-free. All right, y'all. All right, you're just going to meditate on Owaspy. You're just going to meditate on Owaspy and Megillah. All right, that's amazing. All right, beautiful people, that's it. I love y'all, and I will see y'all back here tomorrow. Wait, tomorrow's a holiday. Y'all got to work. Most of everybody's off. It's Monday. Everybody off tomorrow? Because we could possibly treat tomorrow like a weekend. I don't know. We'll see. I'll ask y'all tomorrow. I ain't gonna wait for a comment, but we'll see.
Y'all, Chip, you're not gonna get that money on Monday.
Listen, it's you working? Okay. All right. Some people. So we'll probably just keep it to the regular time tomorrow. I mean, I'll ask for those that are off that work for other people. But all right. With that being said, beautiful people, that's it. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
You gotta be here on time.
Who got to be here on time? Them or me?
Them.
They here on time. Listen,
all of y'all.
With Isaiah, I'm getting better. For the last few days, I've been on time. I've been going live at the marker 6:15 or 7:30. All right, y'all. Peace.
But I see through you.
I'm from outer space. I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. I'm gold. I've been far away. I'm illuminated now, making more.
What did you just do to me?
I pushed your astral form out of your physical form.
What's in that tea? Psilocybin? LSD?
It's just tea. With a little honey.
What just happened?
For a moment, you entered the astral dimension.
What?
A place where the soul exists apart from the body.
Why are you doing this to me?
To show you just how much you don't know. Open your eyes.
Been dreaming about flying for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they want a coastline.
What's happening? This isn't real, this isn't real, this isn't real, this is...
Dreaming about flying for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they want a coastline.
His heart rate is getting dangerously high.
You look That's all right with me. You think that this material universe is all there is?
I don't need gravity, I need
What mysteries lie beyond the reach of your senses? Existence, mind and matter meet. Thoughts shape reality.
I don't need gravity, I just need growth. I am not really here, I'm an intrusion. I don't swim or sink, I just float.
Some benevolent and life-giving, filled with malice and hunger. Dark places where powers older than time and waiting.
I don't swim or sink, I just float.
Who are you in this vast multiverse?
I don't need gravity, I just need I don't need gravity, I just need growth.
Have you seen that before in a gift shop?
I don't need gravity, I just need growth.
Teach me.
No.
It's an earthquake rumble. I won't ever ever fall, never stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down walls like Jericho crumble.